Welcome to Forever Sport Cricket. My name is Stephen, the other Stephen, that is. I'm joined by Ross and Matt tonight for our coverage of the second semi-final in the SA20, which is underway. We had a few technical difficulties to begin with, but I can tell you that the Joburg Super Kings have won the toss. They've chosen to bowl. Interesting decision to drop off the guy who came in for Aaron Pangiso and opt for more pace in the attack. And Ross, who's been having a look at the pitch, tells us why. Ross, you made the call that it's quite a surprise move given the form that Kyle Simmons has been in, but certainly it looks as if there's some juice in the track.
Yeah, as you said, I mean, they're definitely just in their first over, we've seen a little bit of bounce. I was quite surprised with JSK's choice to bowl first. With Pretoria being known as a bit of a bowler's death ground, really. But yeah, we've seen there in the first over with a little bit of bounce from Nandraburger, and I think it does look like there's a little bit of juice in that pitch, and it'll be interesting. I mean, they've kept Manish Tekshana in, and we know he can turn it, so it'll be interesting to see what JSK's attack is and approach to this bowling innings is.
I think Faf du Plessis will be a bit disappointed by that first over from Nandre Burger. The first ball, I think he was a bit lucky to get away with not being caught by down the leg side.
And there's a wicket. There's a wicket. Gone just like that. There's that juice we were speaking about. A little bit of variable bounce.
And it's the Proteas skipper Temba Bavuma who falls. First ball, golden duck for the skipper. And Williams that is a fearsome delivery from Williams. And perfect first up. I mean, he found his length and his line straight up. And that's, you can't ask for a better delivery, I don't think, first up. I mean, if you pitch it up, you give the opportunity to defend. But to surprise, he really did surprise Temba Bavuma with that one. Pacey, fearsome delivery, and all Bavuma could do was get a glove to it, basically. He was completely flat-footed to that one. So the start that Faf du Plessis wanted now, and the SEC are 8 for 1 in that first over. Early signs here, Ross, that the decision to bowl first is good. We discussed before we came on air the fact that du Plessis had mentioned that because of all the rain which has been around, and let's remember, the match could be interrupted by rain, to take first use of the wicket from the bowling point of view. How much will it flatten, during this innings?
I think with it, obviously it's been under covers the last couple of days, as we heard Faf say, so it could be a little bit sweaty. And I think it'll definitely flatten quite a bit more than it would normally. I think in this first innings, with it being out in the air, giving it a little bit of chance to dry, guys running on it, and I think it will flatten and become a little bit easier to bat on as the game goes on.
Yeah, funny enough, I'm looking on Crick Info, and the commentator saying is that this is the best delivery I think I've seen this of the T20. Yeah, so Zard Williams was really impressive in that first one. And the new man in has come to the crease is Jordan Herman, and he's faced one ball and he's managed to get it away for a single.
I mean, that ball, as you were saying, that is one of the best deliveries I've seen in a long time. He nearly takes Temba's head off, and as you said, he got his line and length perfect. And it's when you're being brought in as one of the opening bowlers in a semi-final, I think you've got to start aggressively. You've got to start as you mean to continue, and he's done that very well.
And here we see Rossington, who had a bit of a freebie in the first over, and perhaps a little bit lucky with the runs he managed to pick up. He was surprised a little bit by the bounce of one delivery from Nandre Burger, but it fell safely. But he is now on 6 runs, and Zard Williams now is bowling again to Rossington, and we see he's going to be coming in shortly here to bowl again.
Bavuma, but
and Rossington has attempted to scoop that behind down the leg side, and perhaps Williams was a little bit. Oh no, I see he was called wide that one.
Wide, yeah. As good as a start as it is for Williams to have got that wicket, I think, as you were saying a little bit earlier, I think Faf will be slightly frustrated. I mean, 1.5 overs in, and you've given away, I think it's 3 extras already. And
yeah,
it's not the end of the world, but it's frustrating because you take those extras away. Oh, he's out. He strikes again.
Well, I don't know. I think the skipper will be pretty happy if Lazard Williams carries on taking wickets, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think he can look past the wide.
But look, I think it's significant. He's pitched that one up to Rossington, and
tried to get him to play.
Rossington has gone for the drive, and I don't think he was never really near that. Yeah, lacked foot movement there. That was actually a pretty poor stroke.
I mean, because the ball hasn't done much movement there. If we see it from this angle, it looks like it stays. Yeah, I mean, it stays pretty straight on.
That was
as you said, just very flat-footed and tried to drive him over cover.
Lazard Williams, he'll accept it as one for him. Maybe the fact that Rossington had seen the kind of balls that Williams had been able to deliver in those first couple, when he maybe his eyes lit up when he saw that one.
Yeah,
that was a lazy stroke. I think he'd be very disappointed in that. But as it is now, Aidan Markram has come in, the skipper's come in, and he's been in decent touch in this SA20, and he's already got a big job to do here.
He does. I think he'll be. He definitely wasn't sitting there before the game thinking he's going to be in within the first 2 overs. I think he probably would have liked to come in around probably over 6, 7, 8. He would have been quite happy coming in there. But to be coming in 2 wickets down within the first 2 overs, he's got a lot of work to do now. Oh,
and Williams has bowled another curler, but again, it's just the zip that he's getting. I don't see any particular movement that he's getting there. Perhaps it's the extra bounce.
It was actually interesting to see.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not doing an awful lot away or into the batsman. It's sort of just getting through, and as you said, a little bit of variable bounce.
Just look at the
I
reaction.
don't think it's even variable at this stage. It's just got that bit of zip. I think Williams is exploiting him. I mean, he's found that when he's got his line right, he's found an excellent line and a really good length as well.
Definitely, and I think if he just keeps no ball.
Oh well. I mean, Markram did play and miss. It's like he didn't get the edge, I suppose, but here's a free hit for Markram.
Oh, and he swung and missed at that.
Swung and missed. And again, I mean, here Markram actually moved his feet a bit better than Rossington did, but I don't think he got anywhere near that.
No, again, just Williams just dropping a little bit shorter, getting a little bit more bounce, and Markram not getting near it.
Yeah, he's an exciting talent. Williams has been in and out of, he's had his moments with the national team. I guess any of these players who is on the fringe of national selection, yes, they need to put in good performances, but more importantly, they need to find some consistency. This is a very good stroke from Markram. Perhaps a little bit over pitched there from Lazard Williams, but I think given the state of the pitch, that's not bad. Expecting the zips, expecting movement. Williams isn't getting any movement off the pitch here, but he is getting some insistence as far as the bounce is concerned. But Markram,
lovely shot.
Pretty safe shot as well. He's played it well. He chipped it over the fielder who was at mid-off there, but really quite safe.
Yeah. No, and I think it's been a good start for JSK. I mean, the only thing you could probably say hasn't been great is the extras, but to have them 15 for 2 after 2, their biggest score at the moment is extras, I would say.
Here's Herman with all the action around, he's only facing his second delivery. And he did what's required when he first came to the crease. He got bats on ball and he went for a run.
Yeah.
High scoring this
Burger's got, yeah.
Bowling to the left-hander, and
some movement there for Berger.
yeah, Berger is getting some movement, and I think it seems to be more on that side of the pitch, or that end of the pitch. Certainly, was Williams bowling from the other end of the pitch doesn't seem to be getting as much. So there's something in that there. But that delivery, we're looking at the replay of Williams' delivery to Bavuma. Outstanding. Really was
unbelievable ball.
Maybe it then goes sideways, and as the batter, you're lucky. And it
Well,
goes
cracks in there, maybe playing, adding a little bit of mischief to this pitch.
I reckon there's some cracks there.
Looks like it's slightly, nothing major. But
how many games have been played on this pitch?
I think this might be the sixth game.
Okay, Herman's managed to turn that one onto the leg side and take a single. He's looking pretty handy at the moment, given the plays and misses that the other batters have had. Herman's looking pretty solid.
Yeah, agreed. And I think he's been out there for a while, and has been able to see, watching from the other end, see what a couple of the balls are doing, and he's maybe now decided within himself that his game plan, what he needs to do, as we see that one clipped away from the ball.
Okay, here Berger has struggled to get his line right to the right-hander, and he's just been able to create some room on the leg side, and pretty straightforward runs down to the fine leg boundary there.
Yeah, it's not the best start for Andre Berger. He's, as you said, his line's been a little bit loose so far. Not bowling terribly, but I think he needs to nail down that line, and you'll see what he can really do here.
Yeah, because I mean, Markram's looking in good touch here. He hasn't, apart from that first delivery he faced, he's been up to it. So
yeah,
this
is going to be close, and he's out.
And there's a run out here.
Did he lose? Did Berger lose the ball?
Berger's not looking very happy with himself there.
I think Berger's lost the ball.
I think Berger has lost the ball. Sunrise Eastern Cape are pretty lucky to get away with that.
100%.
Pushing hard for the second run, and an excellent throw came in. But
He dropped the ball.
It was a really excellent throw. I mean, and here he is. He's taken the ball, in front of the stumps as well.
Yeah, I think Andre Berger will be really disappointed in himself there. Because
Markram goes again, and Markram is he's played a lot of cricket here at Centurion, so he'll be used to batting under juicy conditions.
100%.
We mentioned earlier on that he's in pretty decent touch, and if these bowlers don't find their lines, Markram is going to be able to punish them in this power play overs here.
Yeah, he'll really be able to cause a bit of damage. But I mean, I think Andre Berger, he needs to be disappointed in himself, because between his lines, he's giving away runs. I mean, he's bowling it at leg stump, just outside leg stump, and Markram's going to score there all day. And then with the run out, as you said, it was a really good throw right at the stumps, just on top of it, and he's left it behind. So yeah, not a great start from Andre Berger.
Okay, he bowled that final ball pretty well. Markram did go down, take a step down towards the leg side, I guess anticipating that Berger might try and overcompensate, but Berger hasn't done that, and he's followed him, and there's nothing that Markram can do with that. But having said that, I expect we may see a bowling change by Faf du Plessis after this over.
I would think so, because I mean Markram sends him to the boundary twice, and I don't think you need to ask Markram twice. If you bring Andre Berger back into the attack, I think Markram's made up his mind that he's going to attack Andre Berger. Oh, what a ball by
Zard Williams, he's been bowling really feisty deliveries in his first over, and to Herman here, he's kept something a little bit back, and Herman's completely outfoxed by it.
Take a little bit of pace off there. Yeah, and I mean, I think if Faf will be asking Lazard to do a big job here, if he can pick up another stick in this over, it'll be big, and I think JSK will very much be ahead of the game.
That's for sure. Let's watch him here. It's bowling for the left-hander.
Oh, it's a shot.
And Herman's found the boundary here.
Too much width there offered by Lazard.
Yeah, and also a little bit over pitch there. I think there was easy pickings there for Herman. Yeah, almost a perfect line and length to hit.
Yeah, agreed. Over pitched, a little bit of width, and it's just licensed to get your hands through that.
Australia.
And we were looking at it last night. I mean, last night in Joburg, the key for the bowlers was wicket to wicket. And the guys were really struggling to get it away, score runs. They were struggling to get it out to the boundary. And I mean, you've seen it again here. When Williams bowls a wicket to wicket, he's picking up wickets, and the guys are struggling. I mean, they got a single off it, but it was, again, a wicket to wicket ball, and he's only managed to just push it out the way.
Yeah, and he did play that shot very well. I mean, it was wicket to wicket, a little bit short, turned it away onto the leg side, took the single. And also, the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, they need to play a better percentage cricket here. They're already 2 wickets down. They do have the potential to fall into a deep hole here if they lose another couple of quick ones. Ooh, that's a fantastic delivery. A lot more spice there from Williams. And he's pulled that just back of a length. It's reared up.
Great bowling from Lazard. Yeah, and I mean 31 for 2 after 3.4. It's not a bad score, but they're 2 wickets down.
Yeah, I mean it could have been a lot worse for Eastern Cape if the
run out.
Well, and also if Berger had been a bit more accurate. Williams generally has been okay, but he has had a couple of loose ones. Here's another good delivery. They've taken the single, and there's another attempted shy at the stumps. What they're doing, the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, I think, batting sensibly here, and these two seem to have found the right game plan here. When the ball is a good ball, they've managed to find a single as well. So good batting from Markram and Herman.
Yeah, I mean, and I think they've got to understand there's still 16 overs left. They don't need to go for it now. They've lost 2 wickets, and these two need to try and do a bit of a rebuild and work together and work the good balls away, get the singles as they are. And then the rubbish you can get through to the boundary. When they were offered a little bit of width, put that to the boundary and just tick away here slowly.
Oh, Williams has really put in a brilliant one. So, interesting to see here. That's the end of the 4th over. To see what bowling change, if there is a bowling change, that Faf du Plessis decides on. And I'm getting out of here. I'll be back shortly. But Matt is now joining you.
See you in a bit.
Will do.
And Steve's just going to hop out for a bit and have a little bit of a break, and we bring Matt in. Matt, how are you?
Very good. How are you? How are you doing, Ross?
Yeah, all good. Even better now that the JSK have started with 2 early wickets.
Yeah, it's been a good start, hasn't it? I mean, they've really started with a bit of intent here. What did you make of the first 4 overs?
I think it was a good first 4 overs. I mean, Lazard Williams' 2 overs were stellar. I think there were 1 or 2 deliveries that shouldn't have been there. But apart from that, it was stellar. I think Nandre Berger was a little bit of expensive and loose. And I think Faf generally will be really happy with their start. I think he'll be upset about a couple of the extras they've given away, but I think he'll be very happy with where they are at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, I think you couldn't really have asked for much more. I mean, we know Temba Bavuma can score runs. It's good to get those early wickets in, especially with a bit of rain. You don't know what's going to happen. I think we got to be also aware that we might be getting some rain. So, you want to try and, I know it's obviously very early days, but you want to obviously try and get that Duckworth-Lewis working in your favour from as early as possible. Interesting to see what Markham does, though. I think he's arguably, he's the key now for the next kind of 5 overs or so.
100%. And Steve and I were saying he's been in really good nick of late, and if he can get going here, I think he could prove to be a danger man, and possibly with a couple loose deliveries take the game into SEC's favour a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. By the way, the new man to the crease is Mr. Kutsia. What have you made of him? I think he's been very impressive this tournament. He's kind of gone a little bit under the radar, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I heard a little bit about him before this tournament, but from this tournament, he's made a big statement, and he's really thrown his name in the hat in terms of national side and all of that, and where he goes from here. I mean, I think he is leading wicket taker at the moment, or just off it.
Just literally about to check that right now.
I think he's at the top.
So nicely, but yeah, he's certainly near the top, if not the top.
I think Nokia maybe got him last night, but otherwise he's.
A bit of a loose one there, pushed through backward point, deep backward point just for a single. Which brings him on to 34 for 2. Still not a bad over, as you say. So leading wicket taker, but I mean his average has been absolutely phenomenal. That's what I'm out 4 for 24.
He's bowled really economically, and he's done the job that he's needed to do for JSK.
Yeah, I mean, we're just having a look now at some highlights from his last match against Sunrise Eastern Cape. That was down in Quebec. 4 for 24. As you say, he's done the job.
Yeah, and as you said, he's just been economical and done what he's been asked to do, and I think he started off really strong here. 2 of the first 5 balls, and I think he's coming in with a little bit of pace.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, just looking, he's been all over the place in terms of his lengths. Not all over the place in a bad way, just kind of varied length, which is, I think it kind of plays into that aggressive nature of his bowling, which you're going to have to look at Iron Nokia here to see just how much efficacy that's had. It really has been very effective, as we see the last ball of the over coming now.
And I mean, it's, as you said, to do with his bowling and like how aggressive he is. He never lets you settle. He's never going to bowl you 2 or 3 of the same balls in a row. He's constantly changing it up and not letting you get comfortable.
Yeah, well, fantastic first over from him, by the way. Into the 5th over, 35 for the loss of 2 Sunrise Eastern Cape. Markram's there on 17 or 14. He's kind of been a bit hit and miss so far, as we see Mahesh Tikshana, the new man. So we're going to introduce something a little bit different there. Markram's been a bit sort of hit and miss this tournament so far, as far as I'm concerned at least. 14 balls nice. He's faced 2 and a bit overs. Do you think he starts to now settle down and go, all right, fine, we're 35 for 2, 5 overs gone? Do you think it's time for him to start looking at accelerating yet, or does he still play the slower run?
I think he can err more on the side of caution for a little bit longer. Give himself and the team a little bit of time just to keep that run rate ticking over, rotating the strike. Because I think if he goes too early and loses his wicket, then the Sunrise are in real trouble, because then you're asking Stubbs and Janssen to do a really big job. I mean, 36 for 2 after 5, it's not good, but it could be a lot worse. 35 for 3 after 5, you're staring at a tough climb from there. So I think they'll be looking to rotate a little bit longer, and then I would say from about 8 you go.
Yeah, I mean, looking still to come in, you've got Jordan Cox, Tristan Stubbs, Marco Janssen, then you're down to, Roelof van der Merwe, Brighton Cost, Sander Magala, you really into the tail of Gil Bartman there at the end. I mean, you don't actually have that much out and out batting still to come. There's only 2 more batters left before you went to the all-rounders.
I mean, after Cox and Stubbs, we know Janssen can hit a long ball. We've seen what he's done this competition, but you're banking on him coming off. And as you said, he's more of an all-rounder than an out-and-out batsman.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think kind of at this point, as we watch Markham just paddle one off his pads down into the deep, just another single. So we would have had 3 singles so far. So I think, at the moment, you got Herman there alongside him, 9 off 9. I'd say maybe wait until what, 8, 9 overs.
Yeah, I would say about 8 and then start going. Because if we look at this, I mean, you get to, I mean, if they can get to
exactly the words, but
they can get to 60 or 70
there
by
was
the
turn
8th
when he
over,
turned up here because
and then
he
you
didn't
go
expect
from
to
there.
beat
You've
South
set
Africa.
yourself up. You haven't had the power play you want, but you've put yourself in a position to go. Got a couple of wickets in hand. You've got 12 overs, and I think you can really accelerate from there.
Yeah, I think with 2 down, 5 overs gone, you kind of want to. They're going to play a bit of a consolidation game, which I suppose is fair enough. I mean, we all know just how impressive JSK have been. I mean, if we just talk about them throughout the whole tournament, they're really, when the chips have been down, certainly over the latter half of the tournament, they really have been very impressive.
100%. I mean, they had the start to the tournament where they won their opening game, and then they looked a bit shaky in the next couple of games after that. But then they've won 5 in a row. And as you said, when the chips are down, when they were in jeopardy of not getting through to the semi-finals, they've really pulled it out the bag. And you've had Faf come off. You've had Matt Wade in his last one, 40 quick runs. They've really done the job with bat and ball.
I mean, it's the thing that's been discussed ad nauseum, really, isn't it? Faf du Plessis, does he surely he has to come back, right?
I agree. You've got to put him in the squad. You can't not. I mean, you look at his ability with the bat. You look at the form he's been in, and not even just in the SA20. I mean, you look at last year's IPL, he was good. The year before, he was good in the IPL. His captaincy and the effect he has on a team, on the pitch and off the pitch, is incredible. And so I think you've got to bring him back.
I mean, do you think he'll come back? I mean, I know he said that he's been available and whatnot, but I mean, do you think like now, if Shukri Conrad, was to phone him up and say hello, Chief?
It's 40 for 2.
I think so. I think he's had a little bit of time off, spent some time with the family, enjoyed it, and I think if you brought him back for a year, I think he would say yes. You say you can do what you want to do. We'll give you can play in this tournament, but we want you for this in the World Cup. Will you come back? And I think you'll find he'll probably say yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubting his love for South African cricket.
Yeah.
I think, and we talk about his run scoring, which has obviously been prodigious. Certainly for JSK recently, and as you say, I mean, he had a good IPL before that, but I think you hit the nail on the head big time when you discussed his leadership capabilities. Yeah. I think that's really, for me at least, where just that presence on the field, that experience, that wealth of experience that he's had. I mean, we forget that he played with some of the best. He's been around for a while. This stuff, age. I mean, people complain about his age, but really, I think in this case, his age is a good thing. With that experience.
And I mean, you don't even have to give him the captaincy. You leave the captaincy with Bavuma, because I think if you brought him back into the squad and then took the captaincy a bit away from Bavuma, you would raise some questions. But I don't think you need to give him the captaincy. I think just him being there, his presence and the effect it'll have on the group and the squad and on the field, he'll be able to help Temba out, give him a couple of pointers, and as you said, just his wealth of experience and what he's seen and what he knows, I think is invaluable.
Addition, as you say, to Temba, I think it'll be great for Temba's captaincy to have someone like that. I mean, look, as we see, he's let one loose there.
There's a man out there.
Is that a 4? Is that a 6? That's a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4.
A nice solid slap from the left-hander. Down through deep square leg.
Bit of a loose start here from Romario Shepherd.
Yeah, 7 off the over of his first 3 balls.
One a little bit short.
Let's see, did he get all of that? A little bit high up the bat.
A little bit high.
But still, I mean, good shot. He picked out the gap nicely. So,
is this the release SEC we're looking for? A change of bowler to come in and they decide, right, let's see one and then go.
It's been interesting, the shuffling of bowlers. As we
see. Is there a wicket there?
We're lucky. We're standing square on, or we're sitting square on here on the couch.
I thought there might have been an edge there.
I think there is a neck. I think it's dropped just short. There's definitely an edge.
Just short.
Just short.
He tried. Certainly tried. Fourth cutter from Shepherd.
That's it.
Great ball. And that's what they need. They just need to be knocking on knocking on the door there.
There we go, the short ball again. Still
the
not
man there
convincing.
drop shape. Yeah.
Maybe De Villiers was talking to Mark Nicholas earlier, just after the toss, and talking about playing the cross-batted shots early on in your innings here at...
Can they hear comms?
It seems you can hear the comms on the stream. Alright, well that's fine. I mean, I've turned mine down. That should be alright.
Oh.
As we see Aiden Markham coming in, the last ball of the over, of the 7th over now. It's not been a bad over. So what's that, 8 off it so far. The last ball coming in from Shepherd. What does Markham do? Just a gentle
They'll get it away for a single.
paddle down just for a single there, yeah. So there we go, that is the end of the 7th. 49 for 2. That's not looking too bad now, is it?
No, I mean, you score another, you do another 9 runs in the next over, get yourself to 58, and you can work from there. I mean, 58 with 12 overs left. I think even if you put on another 110, you get to 168, and I think if you bowl nicely, that's defendable. I mean, we saw last night, Pretoria Capitals didn't put on the high, they really put under pressure. But were able to come in and bowl really nicely and defend it. And so I think it's not the worst. SEC have done nicely to keep these wickets and not lose another one, because they're actually not in the worst position.
Yeah, I mean, we're under a bit of pressure, must be said, in the beginning. I mean, I did think, it looked at the beginning, if they lost another couple, we could be in for, below 100 run. Yeah, as we see that one, just bad delivery from Maishting Shana, just down on the pads, over pitched, just gently sort of tapped around the corner. 160 kilometers an hour from Shana.
That the carom ball, maybe.
Yeah, it looked like it, yeah. He just kind of missed his line there.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been so good with that ball recently.
Yeah, he has. He's been lethal, I must say.
And it's just a bit disappointing with that line, because you put that on the off stump and it's a very different story.
And I mean, it's also kind of ruins the over, doesn't it, now? You go for 4
yeah.
the first one. Clever play there from Markham, just, pushing it away, getting the single, getting himself off strike, letting Herman have a go.
The gentleman on screen.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, I think at the moment, this has actually been really good play by Markham and Herman. They've kind of
getting his team into the final.
I think they've pulled themselves out of what could have potentially been some serious trouble there. I like the way they've sort of maturely gone about their business. I mean, they're still going along with not a bad rate. Markham 29 or 22.
Yeah, both of them striking at over 100. And as you said, they've done what they needed to do. Play a sensible rebuild phase, a couple of overs, get themselves in, knock the ball around, keep it ticking over. And they're putting themselves in a position where they can really go from here.
What have you made of this thing of... I've noticed it's not just been this match, but it's, the majority of the matches, it seems that there's been a huge amount of bowler rotation early on, in the power play especially. I mean, do you stand by that?
I think it's difficult, because I understand bowler rotation if your bowlers are expensive and they're costing you a lot up front. Then I understand it. But when your bowlers are bowling, I mean, look at Lazard Williams. He was bowling really nicely there. So then go and pull him out just as he's hitting his stride and getting his line late. Do not try and keep him on a little bit longer and see what he can do, instead of one over here, one over there. When you bring him back in, he's a little bit cold. He's got to try and refine that line and length. So I understand bowler rotation trying to save guys for the end, but I wouldn't do it to the extent that they've done it so far in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think it's, as we see, oof, what happened there? My goodness me.
Safe, and it's going to be 4.
Will be 4, yeah. So I mean, what happened? Hammond came down the pitch, kind of took a wild swing at it, didn't really get it, and deep backward
has got 4 for it.
Yeah. We have a look here. We have another look at this ball. Yeah, a bit of a wild.
Yeah. Slash.
Yeah, basically it was a slash, but I mean, he'll take his 4.
But I mean, if you're gonna go hard.
No, sure. I mean, we've seen that how many times as the 50-run partnership comes up, by the way, or 39 balls. It's developing to a damn good little partnership.
Yeah, and I mean, now you see that they're up to 60 after 8. Put on 110 now, get you to 170, and you're getting into quite comfortable territory.
And there's no reason to not put a 110 from here. There really isn't.
Exactly. Got wickets in hand. You've got overs to play with. They could, and Markram's set now, and you'd think Herman's fairly set now. So two set batsmen at the crease, they could really go on and cause some damage from here.
So we see, by the way, that was the end of your stint, yes sir?
Oh, that is the end of my stint.
we have a Stephen Kirker on the way back with us, so he will join us very shortly. Thank you, Ross.
See you in a bit.
And we are clear. Welcome back to our second semi-final coverage of the SA20 between the Sunrisers Eastern Cape and the Joburg Super Kings. As things stand, we're 8.2 overs in, 63 for 2 on the Sunrisers Eastern Cape with Markham and Herman at the crease. Mario Shepherd coming in, or returning, should I say, it's ball. And speaking of returning, Steve Kirker, welcome back, Steve.
Thank you, Matt. Interesting point you were discussing just before I came on about, chopping your bowlers after 2 overs. And I was discussing that. I mean, Berger needed to come off at that stage. He wasn't bowling particularly well. But yeah, I think I agree with you that Williams, if he'd stayed on for another over, maybe he nicks out a 3rd wicket. But at the same time, you want to save your best bowlers for later as well, in case a partnership develops. I don't know. Who'd be a cricket skipper?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, look, it's not easy. I mean, obviously with all the pressure on as well now, it is a bit of a... Yeah, it's a tricky one. But I mean, we're having a look now at that bowling scorecard there. So as you said, Berger, struggling 19 from his 2. But, I mean, why would you bring Romario Shepherd back? His first over wasn't great. As we see a wild flash that from Herman. Doesn't get the boundary though this time around as it goes down to 3rd man safely through for a single. I mean, would you have brought Shepherd back?
Well, that's another matter. I mean, he was lucky to get away with only the single down to 3rd man there because it was a pretty poor delivery. Where was I going to go with this? I'm just going to try. Would I have brought him back? Well, let's look at the bowling resources at Faf du Plessis.
Kind of has at his disposal.
Yeah, but here's another scenario. At the toss, du Plessis said he wanted to chase, given the fact that rain might be coming. Another thing is, what happens if this innings is abbreviated and Lazard Williams doesn't get to bowl another over? Why not bowl him out? If he's on fire and he's not giving away the runs and he's getting wickets, well, you might want to bowl him out because, you can't, when say you end up chasing a revised target, well, the bowling side is going to have bowling restrictions in terms of the number of overs that a bowler can go. And if you save your last bowlers and you don't get to bowl them out, maybe that's another thing that you need to think about.
Yeah, no, sure, absolutely. I mean, as you say, I think it's not a small matter, is this rain. I mean, if I'm looking outside my window now, obviously we're not in Pretoria, but we're just down the road from Pretoria, and it's looking very grim outside at the moment. I think there's definitely something to be said for maybe bowling out, say, a Lazard Williams, because I mean, remember, let's not forget, you also have a Gerald Coetzee who's only bowled the 1 over. And that over went for just 3 runs. So, it's not like if you bowl out Lazard Williams, you're now left without any kind of frontline bowlers. I mean, Gerald Coetzee has, been one of the standout bowlers of this whole tournament. So I'm inclined to agree. I think, bring Lazard Williams back in. I mean, he's got 2 for 13 from his 2. You've got Tikshana there. I mean, he's bowled 2. I think, for me, there's no reason for you to be bowling, say, like we've just seen now, Romario Shepherd. I mean, he's gone for 15 from his 2, which isn't great, but it's, it's not terrible. I'm inclined to believe, and we're from the Highveld, we understand. I'm inclined to believe we're going to get some rain.
Yeah, and we will be crossing to Steve Pettit a little bit later. He is at the ground, so perhaps he'll have some weather details for us. So yeah, I mean, Faf du Plessis did say he's expecting rain, and that's one of the reasons that he decided to bowl first, and he wanted to make best use of the conditions. Have his bowlers made the best use of conditions? Because as you said, I mean, we've got a 50-plus partnership now developing, and both the batters are now pretty well set, and they're batting at a decent lick. Yes, they're not batting at 160 yet, but given the circumstances, they've put on an excellent partnership so far.
Yeah, they have. I mean, that's another thing. Another reason why I'd be inclined to maybe bring back a Lizard Williams for a third, or certainly give Gerald Coetzee a second. You know, we're looking at it now. Markham's there on 32 not out of 26. Herman 24 off 20. That's 9 overs gone now. I feel like, that pressure that they built up has now gone. And they're in a position now where, you need a win.
Well, yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, it really comes down to, I guess, a bit of luck or a really special delivery. Because after the kind of plays and misses that Lizard Williams was getting, we haven't seen as much, the other bowlers getting as much out of the pitch as possible. But it is a bit surprising that, as far as the bowling is concerned, that Joel Coetzee has only bowled the 1 over. I expect to see him again. Yeah, I expect to see. Well, there you go. I was going to say we expect to see him coming in pretty soon. Perhaps he can get the breakthrough.
Yeah, well, let's see. I mean, his first delivery, they just paddled away for a nice, simple single, which moves Herman onto 25 off 21. He's also kind of a little bit gone under the radar, hasn't he? I mean, I think, there's been a lot of talk about Markham. There's been a lot of talk about Tristan Stubbs as another one who's kind of come under a lot of pressure. Themba Bavuma has been pretty good in the couple of matches he's played. But yeah, I think Jordan Herman he's kind of I feel like he's a little bit gone under the radar.
Well, I mean, I think he's one for the future. I mean, he's only 21 years old, and he has played under 19 cricket internationally. And when I was in my first commentary stint, and he came to the crease at the first wicket, he seemed to have the measure of the pitch pretty soon. The other two batters were looking a bit uncomfortable at that stage, and he was able to push a single or two, get his eye in, and now he's capitalizing on having managed to see off a nervous start.
Yeah,
by the team, not by him. That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's gone along quite nicely. He's got 138 runs this tournament, not too bad. High score of 59. From his 7 matches, he only played 7 matches. Let's also not forget. So he's been undefeated once, which is not too bad. He's gone along at a decent strike rate as well, 106, an average of 23. So he kind of, as you say, one of the future definitely. But I think he's. Yeah, it's impressive to see him performing at a level like this now when he's facing a very informed Gerald Coetzee, for example, and in the pressure of a semi-final of what is fast turning out to be a massive tournament.
Oh, it's been a really good tournament, and the shot that he played there, Coetzee bowled it a little bit short, but held something back. But Herman was able to check his shot, and he pulled it really comfortably to the leg side, and they took two good runs.
Yeah, I mean that's composure that I suppose it's the composure that you want to see from your team, but it's the composure maybe you would more expect to see from Aiden Markram, as we see. Herman there just batting that one away. Will they take another second? No, they won't. They'll just take a single from that one. But not a bad over.
Yeah, not a bad over. I mean, Coetzee has been has been pretty good so far. I mean, he's only given away the 5 runs from the over, and he'll be looking to perhaps bowl a dot ball here or just a single. And this will be a good tight over given the state of the match and the way Sunrisers were going along.
As we see a full toss there. Just pushed down to long on for a single. So not the end of the world. End of the 10th over, 72 for 2. Gerald Coetzee 6 off that over, meaning he's gone for 9 overall now. 72 for 2, as we said. I think that's the big one when you look at it now. Halfway through I mean, if you double that, you're at 144. They'll certainly be wanting to do more than that.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, in 50 over cricket, you talk about doubling over 30, but the way people are playing the game at this stage, I don't think that assessment is in any way good. If you have wickets in hand, you know, I think you can probably double your score from about the 12th or 13th. Again, wickets in hand are what matters. Because I mean, we have seen, you know, you get a couple of your power hitters. I mean, Marco Jansen. I mean, if these guys stay together, I mean, and a wicket falls now, perhaps you do bring in a big hitter to get things going. What's your thinking of that?
Absolutely, yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think, you know, you've got Jordan Cox, you've got you've obviously got Tristan Stubbs still to come, and I mean, look, the boy hasn't performed that much at the tournament so far. I feel like maybe we put a little bit, you know, too much pressure on those young shoulders. But I think this is not a bad shout. I think, you know, say Markram goes out now, or Herman. You know, you bring Stubbs in. You say to him, "All right, son. You know, we got overs to spare. We know what he can do when he really goes for it. So there's absolutely no reason now to not bring him in. Say, all right, great. You got 3 overs. You got 2 overs to kind of get your eye in a bit, and then go and play your natural game. I think there's been too much pressure on the poor youngster to play that natural game from ball 1. And I think, honestly, I truly believe him, and to a lesser degree, Devil Brevis. I believe, you know, the rest of the world has been the kind of the masterminds of their own downfall. I don't think it's anything to do with them per se.
Well, you talk about a very interesting matter there. We're talking about the psychological pressure on players, perhaps, and it's a bit of a sticky point here in South Africa. Let's not forget that. You know, maybe there is a national kind of I don't know, imposter syndrome. I don't want to call it.
No, I mean, it's. I think you have a point. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think, you know, it's such a strange thing. I think as South African cricket fans, we're so desperate for another AB de Villiers, or we're so desperate for another Jacques Kallis, or another Hashim Amla, or something. As soon as we get somebody who looks like they might just a little bit, you know, play like one of these greats, suddenly they're expected to. And sure, the talent's there. There's no doubting the talent's there with the Devil Brevis or Tristan Stubbs. But I wonder, you know, how much do we engineer them falling short? Had they played in Australia, for example, where, you know, a young batter comes in and nobody's expecting him to be Mark Waugh next week.
Yeah, but he's putting together good
you know, I do wonder sometimes, you know, what would a Marnus Labuschagne, what would he be if he'd been in South Africa?
And with that short boundary, he'd have been.
Okay, that's another thing. Let's just interrupt to talk about pretty tight over so far from Mahesh Dikshana. He's gone for a single here. He has bowled the 1 wide, but this is now a pretty tight over.
Yeah, and, just 3 runs off it.
Just 3 runs off it. So a couple of good overs from Joburg Super Kings, just at the time that the Sunrisers Eastern Cape will, I think, be wanting to press things on. So if we become overcritical about the bowling, I mean, there's certainly been a bit of a slowdown in the last couple of overs.
Yeah, there has. I suppose with that Gerald Coetzee over there just now as well, which I think went for, if I'm mistaken, I think it was 5 runs.
I think it was 6. But 9 runs, 2 overs. That's very tight, given the 4.5 runs and over, and they were batting at 7 runs and over, I think.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, as we're busy, by the way, getting a nice little panoramic shot here of the general Gauteng region. It does look like there's a little bit of cloud cover. We'll chat to Steve Pettit in a little bit to get his pitch side weather report. But yeah, it looks like so far at least the rain has stayed away. As we see Burger now coming back.
This is going to be a very, very important part of the game, I feel, because Burger wasn't great first up, and we've seen 2 really great tight overs. You don't want to release the pressure here. Left arm, and he's bowled an atrocious ball first up. I think that's going to be called a no ball as well. I think that was over waist height.
Yeah, no, certainly, yeah. So what's that?
And-
In fact, that is, well, I mean, that's a 6. And how high is this? Looks like it just slipped out of his hand, if anything.
Yeah, I think it did. Oh, maybe he's gonna. No, he can't. He can't. That was over.
Yeah, definitely.
West
Yeah.
Ham.
He's gonna have to bowl
Had
that one
the-
again. And
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so.
didn't get it in the first shot, did it? Yep, that
Yep, he carried all the way. Carried all
That's
the way.
exactly how you don't want to start it, isn't it?
Well, I did. That is a bit sad. I put the blinkers on him, I should say. It was really important that he built the pressure that it continued, imposing the pressure that had been built up in the last 2 overs, and unfortunately, that was really bad to start.
Yeah, you see his captain going up to him there, having a word. Just calm down, youngster. Just get a bit of line length, especially now free hit. Don't do anything silly.
Oh, and he's got that. Has that gone up in the air? So somebody? No, it's fallen.
There's no one there. I mean, look, it was a free hit either way, so.
Yeah, of course, yes. I'd forgotten that. I was getting all excited. But did they take the 2 runs there? Yes, they did.
Yeah, but I mean, look, that's 9 off the first ball, so essentially is what it works out at. That's really not what he wants.
Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah,
Well,
we heard Sean Pollock there saying that he thinks it was maybe an attempt at a knuckleball that kind of just slipped out of his hand there. Let's see what happens here. That's a bit better.
That's better. He's getting Herman to drive, but the line is so good there that Herman's and he's bowling to the field there. Unfortunately, he hasn't been doing enough of that, Berger.
No, he hasn't. I mean, it's interesting. You see now again, Faf du Plessis going up to him, just having a chat. I mean, Faf certainly knows just how important this is, this over. I think this over and whatever Berger's next is. Because, I mean, let's be honest, he is, supposed to be at least arguably one of the, the frontline seamers here.
Well, every bowler, I guess, is entitled. Well, maybe not entitled, but we've seen all sorts of bowlers. Kagiso Rabada's been through some bad patches, but you certainly want your top bowlers when it comes to the big games to
not be bowling 6 no balls.
Yeah, I mean, we saw last night. Who was the bowler who? Yeah, Nokia in yesterday's game, wasn't it? He didn't have a great outing.
Yeah, look, you can't really fault him too much over the tournament, but yeah, I
no, exactly.
But
he came and he picked up the final 2 wickets. So.
Oh, is that a run out? No, it's not, is it? Didn't get a hand to that.
No, he didn't get a hand to that. So again, a good delivery here from Berger. So, but well played. Markram was playing straight, 2 straight, of course.
Well, yes, in this case, slapping it into his own wickets. Oof. Not far off getting a hand to it was Berger. You look there, I mean, he was, not too far off it. As it goes back and hits the opposite stumps. I mean, he was well out of his crease. He's brought this back nicely, though, I must say.
Well, yeah, but he has. This has been good. Okay, bit short and wide outside the off stump, but smashed a square of the wicket on the offside, and they're taking 2 runs there.
I just feel that
I mean, look, after you go for 6 no balls in your first delivery, you kind of, the pressure's going to be on you, especially, I mean, Nandre Berger's not exactly 45 years old, he's certainly, he's new to this game, relatively speaking. I think he's brought it back nicely. What, a couple of 2s there and a few singles from it. Let's see the last ball of the over now. Markram slaps that one down to cover region. Just for another single. So 15 runs off the over, but if you ignore essentially the 9 from his first delivery, not a bad over to the end of it. By the way, that is the end of the 12th over. Things looking pretty good so far currently if you're a Sunrisers Eastern Cape fan. 90 for the loss of 2 after 12 overs. I am now going to love and leave you shortly. Steve, you will be remaining, and of course you'll be joined very shortly by our very own Ross.
Oh, he's just tonked out.
So, welcome back to Forever Sports cricket coverage of this second semi-final, and we've just seen a change of bowling again. Romario Shepherd is back into the attack, and he's been hit for probably the biggest six of the match so far, dropping it short. No real pace on the ball. Markham's got plenty of time to choose his spot and play a lovely, sweetly timed shot. And back on commentary with me is Ross. It's been a really interesting patch since you were last on commentary. Sunrisers Eastern Cape were going along really, really nicely. And then Joburg Super Kings had two tight overs and then a bit of a release in the over before you rejoined us. And now immediately the pressure is back on Joburg Super Kings with 8 runs coming off the first 2 deliveries.
Yeah, and as what you were saying earlier to Matt just before Nandre Burger came back on, with the 2 tight overs, you wanted a third one because then it really piles the pressure on SEC. But Nandre Burger gave them a no-ball 6 and bowled nicely after that, but I think the damage was done after that first delivery, and it's given them a chance to release again, and you saw it there with Markram clearing Shepherd over to over square leg for 6, and you kind of think, is that another release period that they're going to chase after?
Well, I mean, I think Sunrise Eastern Cape 99 for 2 in the 13th over. My point earlier is you can almost think about doubling your score here.
If they can get double.
Yeah, if you can get to 200 from here, and they've got the batting, but they need to, I think, really press on a little bit. You've got to start thinking of taking a go. But I mean, having said that, they're playing such good cricket shots at the moment. We've seen a wonderful cover drive there from Herman. He's given the ball the treatment. Just a little bit too wide there from Shepherd, and he's timed really sweetly. It's raced away to the boundary.
Yeah, again, and I think it ties in a little bit on what I was saying earlier, how the wicket to wicket really works. And often a little bit of wit works as well to try and get the batsman to play. But I mean, Herman and Markram have looked so good out there and so comfortable that you try and get them to play, and they're putting you away to the boundary, as we see again there. A little bit of width again, and he's been sent fetching. And I mean, that's 14 off the over so far with a ball left to bowl. And SEC are starting to get a real move on here.
Well, and I mean, if they're going to get deliveries like this, then we can easily expect them to get to that 200.
100%.
Yeah, unfortunately, Lizard Williams was good. He picked up those wickets. He was slightly loose, but he certainly looked as if he could pick up wickets at almost any time.
Yeah.
Can't really say the same about the rest of the batters, though. But if we do look at the bowling figures, I mean, both Shepherd and Burger are, conceding well over 11 runs and over. Yeah. The most economical so far with 4.5 runs and over. Tikshana has been going at 6 runs and over. Williams 6.5. Yeah, Williams is good. Tikshana 1 or 2 loose deliveries, but generally good. Kutsia very good. Burger and Shepherd, well, I do have to say this, they are letting their side down quite a lot.
100%, because I mean, even with Manish Tikshana going at 6.5 and over as a spinner, that's not bad. And as you said, I think he's bowled 3 overs. His first went for 5. I think his second went for 11, and his third went for 5 or odd. So he's bowled really well. And in that second over, he bowled a couple of extras and 1 or 2 loose balls. But as you said, Burger and Shepherd have definitely, I mean, Nandre and Shepherd have really let the side down, because they go, I mean, they don't even have to go at an economy of 4. If they were going at 7 or 8, it makes a big difference as opposed to 11.
Oh, massive. I mean, I see the projections after 13 overs are that if Sunrise Eastern Cape go 12 runs and over, they get to 192. I still think, it's possible to get more than that. I mean, a couple of really big overs, 24 here and a 20 there, and, you're already almost, halfway there.
Yeah. Oh, is this
Ooh, a run
close?
out. There's a run out opportunity
The soft
there.
signal is out. I just saw Murray's finger go up. The soft signal's out. This will be another big moment in the game.
Well, they could have done this in Andre Burgers, I think, his first over, but
In his first or
unfortunately,
second over, but
yeah.
it sums up his game.
It sums up his game so far, I'm afraid. And here, the ball has come to.
Oh, he's gone. He's a long way short.
Yeah, that's the breakthrough the Joburg Super Kings have wanted to do.
And there's that man, Lazard Williams, involved in another wicket. All three of them have had something to do with Lazard Williams.
Well, you need those players to step up for the big occasion. Williams has done really well there, but Jordan Hammond, he's a little bit unlucky, I suppose, falling 2 runs short of a half century, but a very good knock by the young man. 48 runs off 36.
Exactly, and as you said, a little bit unlucky, but you've got to acknowledge the work that he's done. I mean, when Rossington and Temba both went down earlier around him, he managed to hang in there, get himself going and contribute. I mean, 48's a big contribution from him. Interesting call here. They've sent in Stubbs ahead of Cox. I think SEC are looking to go.
Well, it's the point that I was discussing with Matt a little bit earlier. Is do you bring in a Janssen? He mentioned Stubbs to really, play that pinch hitter's role. And
yeah,
I think given the bowling on offer at the moment, I think this is not half a bad idea.
Not a bad shout. And I think a very smart decision from Faf would be to leave Shepherd and Berger in the cupboard for the time being and stick to Kutsia and maybe bring Lizandra back in. Lazard back in.
Yeah, well, here's Kutsia to Stubbs.
Another good ball from. There's
and
that
a good
wicket
delivery.
to wicket, yeah.
Wicket to wicket.
Pushing it away for a single, and that's fine. That's all Faf for one. They don't mind dealing in singles. It's the boundaries and mass that hurt.
It's a simple game being a bowler. Line and length.
Yep.
Line and length.
A lot easier said from the comfort of our chairs.
No, indeed. And of course, I mean, ultimately, generally speaking, it is what bowlers, I think, are striving for, except when they are trying to take a wicket.
Yeah.
Or surprise a batter. I mean, a well-set batter, if you bowl line and length, they will adjust their
batting style.
Their batting to, get to the pitch of the ball, or put you off. So, I mean, it's very much a mental game from that point of view.
And Steve, what do you think JSK will be happy defending or chasing? What do you think they want to try? They'd be happy to restrict SEC to now from this point on?
From this point, well, I think given the start they made, Faf du Plessis would have been looking to chase, I think, around 150, 160. At this stage, I think he'll probably be happy if they're only chasing 180. 110 for 3 in the 14th over.
A big hitter's just walked to the crease in Stubbs. He got a lot of power behind him, and Markram's set.
And Markram is looking.
Here comes the rain.
Very good, but this is what Faf du Plessis was speaking about the rain. But here's the point that I made: is if they don't come back, 13 overs and 4 deliveries, and if their innings is over and they have to face a Duckworth-Lewis adjusted target, they won't be able to bowl Lazard Williams again.
Yeah.
Perhaps if they bowl him at this stage, perhaps we'll see him if the rain does carry on. But the players do stay on. That Lazard Williams will come back for the next over. It's been a good over from Kutsia so far.
Great over from Kutsia.
Bowling wicket to wicket, which we like to see, and he's conceded 2 runs and picked up. Yeah, well, conceded 2 runs and got the breakthrough. Not from his bowling, but through the run out.
Ooh.
Now, did he play that deliberately? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I think that got a bit of bounce that he was not expecting.
Yeah, but it's safe. He got a thick edge, well past Matthew Wade, the wicket keeper. Yeah, that was an edge. Yeah. Completely. Almost at the shoulder of the bat.
And I promise you, SEC won't mind those. They'll take them any way that they can come. I think that's a little bit unlucky from for Coetzee there. I mean, it's been an unbelievable over. To have that as the finish, I think it'll irritate him a little bit, but not a bad over at all.
Yeah, 7 runs off the over. I mean, if you finished that there, and only gave away the 3, would have been an excellent over. I mean, perhaps you could argue that he should have. It was slightly wideish, slightly wideish, but it was a good length. It was a good length for a straight delivery.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And now we see Mahesh Tikshana back in. I agree with you. I would have, and that brings Markram's 50 up. It's a good knock from him, and he's looking good.
Yeah, and the kind of role you want from your skipper.
Your skipper, exactly. But I tend to agree with you in terms of Lazard Williams, and with the DLS, if it is reduced and the rain does come down, I think you haven't utilized him to his full potential. But it's also maybe Faf's thinking about if the rain doesn't come, then you keep him for. Are you trying to keep him for the end? Try and be very economical in in the penultimate overs to try and stop them getting away. So it's a tough battle because he's currently battling against the weather, of which he has no control over, I would think.
Well, the other thing is bowling Mahesh now is that the longer it rains, the wetter and more difficult that ball is going to be to control for.
Yeah.
So maybe, again, this is one of the things he's taking into mind.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Very
Great
good
delivery.
Faces him down.
He's tried to create room on the leg side. Mahesh has followed him.
Yeah, and as you said, the ball gets a little bit more slippery, and with Mahesh using his fingers and his wrist to utilize the ball, the wetter it gets, the harder it will become, and that could cause him to be quite expensive. Has he got all of it?
I think he's got all of it on that one.
Yeah, he's got more than enough there.
Yeah, that's gone all the way high into the grass stand. A couple of meters short of clearing the grass stand section of the ground there. So Markram moves to 56 of 42 deliveries. A bit short here.
Yeah,
from Mahesh.
Drag that down a little bit from Mahesh.
And Markram is in such good touch at the moment that's an easy put away for him.
Yeah. If you're JSK now and you need another wicket, who would you rather take out? Would you rather get Markram out now, who's settled and going along quite nicely, or do you want to get the explosive Stubbs out?
I think you got to think about the batter who's been there for the longest, and also in terms of the psychological game, Markram is, and one of the things we've known about Markram since he captained the under-19s is that he's got a.
I don't think he's got all of it. Is there a man there? No.
No, he hasn't. That's the first real full stroke from Markram here.
Yeah.
He's trying to manufacture something out there, and he's almost fallen over trying to hit that onto the leg side, and he doesn't. There's no real power in the shot, so he's quite lucky. It falls safely in the sort of deep cover region there.
And that's Mahesh Tikshana done for the evening. Not a bad spell, but I think 2 really good overs and 2 overs where there were a couple of loose balls and he was punished for it.
Yeah.
But definitely not the worst of the bunch.
No, but it's still a good position here for Sunrisers Eastern Cape. Stubbs has moved to 6 off 3, so he's got going straight away. So maybe you want Stubbs to remove. Ideally, you want both of these men out and 2 new batters at the crease.
100%. Yeah, it's an interesting. I think the game set up interesting now. 5 overs left, 126 for 3. So they've got the wickets in hand. They've got a set batsman at the crease. They've got a batsman with a lot of power and striking ability. But you've also got bowlers who can restrict. Here comes Lazard back into the attack.
What have you been wanting to see?
Yeah, a good delivery that just worked out for one. And they've got the bowlers to restrict them. Maybe not pick up wickets, but slow the run rate right down in Lazard Williams. I mean, if he goes He's gone for 14 after 2.1. If he goes for, call it 20 in his 4, that's 2 more overs where he can really slow the batsman down. And so I think it's going to be setting up to be a very interesting finish to the innings.
Yeah, so that last delivery was on the money, perhaps a little bit short. Markham turned it onto the leg side, took the single. This will be interesting. We saw the skippers talking to Stubbs. Maybe he's given Stubbs the
license
instruction to see what he can manufacture here, because it'll be nice from Markram's point of view to be there until the end, and marshal the resources, marshal the big hitting from the other end.
Yeah, and I think exactly as you said. Markram stays on one end and keeps ticking along as he does, punishing the bad ball and just knocking the good balls away for singles, and telling Stubbs and Janssen and the guys to come in after that. You see what you can do, try and put them away, and I'll stay on this side and manage it.
That's a bit. That's slightly disappointing. That was short and that was wide. Has that been called?
Out of his hand, maybe. Yeah, it's a wide ball.
It's called a wide ball. And I see that the last 5 overs, Sunrise Eastern Cape managed to bat at more than 12 runs to the over, and that's the least that I think we can expect from them in the final few overs.
Yeah. It's a full toss.
Well, maybe bringing Lazard Williams back on was not such a great idea.
He's definitely not doing what he did in his first 2 overs, and you've got to wonder if that little bit of drizzle that came down a couple of minutes ago has made it a little bit tougher to hang on to that ball, because that's a half volley full toss.
I would think so. I mean, that's I mean, that would be my impression. We haven't seen that kind of delivery.
And this, I was saying, Williams for 20 after his 4, he's now on 20 after 2 more balls since I last said that.
Markram's gone for a good straight drive. It's fielded.
Fair by Hendricks. Now, Ree's somebody I want to talk about. What have you thought about him throughout the tournament?
Well, he's had moments, and the thing about Reza Hendricks is I think of two games in particular where he stuck around for a long time and didn't score at a serious rate. They haven't cost the Joburg Super Kings too much, but I think that's the fortunate thing is he's had somebody else at the other end who's been managing to get the runs away. So I think we know he can bat and we know he can score quickly, but maybe he won't be happy with the rate at which he scored here in this game. With a big score to chase here, Joburg Super Kings will need him to get going.
Yeah, and it's exactly that. I mean, he hasn't batted badly this tournament, but he's definitely been far from what you would have expected from Reza, especially in the role that he was given. And it's like you said, I mean, when Fuff scored his 100, Reza stuck around and scored 51, but I think at a strike rate of 85. And in this, any other format, that's not bad. Is that a no ball?
No, that was a really interesting delivery there from.
Been called a no ball.
Been called a no ball. That was like overhead height.
I thought it bounced.
I thought it bounced. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was a slow ball bouncer kind of thing, but maybe he's just throwing it straight over his head.
Well, there you go.
This is not a good over from.
Oh wow! Oh, it's bounced. He's tried a slow bounce. It looks like he turned his fingers over. That's the most bizarre.
He's trying to get that out the back of the hand.
And the free hit
him out. That's going to go all the way.
Well, paid the price for that. Stubbs has delivered on that promise. We know Stubbs can hit a good ball, and he's hit that straight back over the bowler's head, and it's gone for 6. So, unfortunately, Lazard Williams
not returning how he started.
And that's the end of the 16th over, and that's the strategic timeout, I do believe. It's also time for me to get out of the commentary position. When you come back, Ross will be joined by Matt, to take you through to the innings break, and then a crossing to Stephen Pettit, who is out at Centurion.
See you in a bit.
Cool.
Well, hello and welcome back to our Forever Sports coverage of the second semi-final of the SA20 between Johannesburg Super Kings and the Sunrisers Eastern Cape from Centurion. Now, joining us, in fact, from Centurion is our reporter on the ground, Mr. Stephen Pettit. Steve, how's it going that side?
Yeah, this is a vibe out here. Live. Too crowded in. It's an interesting match as well. But I mean, we've got the most amazing vibe. We are standing right behind that. Sitting right behind, looking straight over the bowlers. So we've got the most amazing view. But yeah, it's been a good time. Actually, impressed with the rain. A lot of people in, but it's definitely up here.
Yeah, look, it seems like it's a great time. Talk to me about the rain. As we saw it raining on the TV visuals a little earlier on. What's the story now?
141 for 3. Sunrisers Eastern.
No, nothing really, to be honest. Yeah, maybe a bit of splitting. Weather looks pretty good. Not too dark ground. A bit of a walk earlier. I think actually we're getting a game with this, right? I think it's actually looking very promising.
Oh, let's hope so. Yeah. As we see currently, we've got Berger coming back into the crease. But first of all, I want to ask you, how's the vibe there at Supersport Park? I mean, obviously we know the rain has maybe kept 1 or 2 people away, but I mean, it does seem as though from what we're looking at from our pictures that there is a bit of an atmosphere there. The fans do seem to have come out despite the weather.
No, very good. I'm not very good. I'm not potentially. No, the guys are full up here. Really good finish. The actual stands themselves are a little bit empty. I know they did release a whole bunch of tickets to the fans yesterday, so that was always going to be a bit of a challenge to try and fill it up. But yeah, the glass stand looking pretty full. Yeah, it's a very nice vibe. As I said, very packed in here. A lot of merch being thrown around. Yeah, I've been very impressed with what I've seen so far. I mean, all the tournaments have been very well supported, all the games here, and this one's been no different.
Yeah, no, it does look like it as we see the crowd there celebrating what would have, or hoping to have celebrated what would have been a catch. All right, well, look, Steve, I mean, your audio is not great at the moment, so I think we're going to jump back in with Ross, but we'll catch up with you at the innings break, hopefully. Hopefully by that point we'll be able to get you on a slightly better, less feedbacky channel. But for the time being, stay liquid. Make sure that you have something nice and refreshing. I know
that's it.
Watching cricket's
We'll do a report back on the beer prices soon.
Absolutely. All right, great stuff, Steve. We'll chat to you in a bit.
Good. Cheers, guys.
40 from 20.
Yes. Okay.
Well, there we have it. Isn't he looking very happy?
Chuffed as a Cheshire cat, Stevie P there. I'm sure, yeah.
Look, it doesn't take much. Doesn't take much to make Steve happy. Just a couple of nice cold ales, and we know that the man's not going to be too upset with life, is he? You don't seem to be having fun.
Definitely
It does
not.
seem like there's a good vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we can barely hear him, and you can hear the whistles and the vuvuzelas and the shouting in the background there. So definitely a little bit of FOMO to not be there at the moment, but I will be there on Saturday.
Look, I'm jealous. I mean, I'm sitting here going, geez, Steve, doing all the work for Forever Sports, and yet here I am sitting at home. And we're watching the boss. We're watching the boss do all of his hard work there. Maybe the cheers though came from the fact that Nandre Burger hasn't exactly had the best over.
Definitely not, and I think it's definitely been a night to forget for Nandre Burger. I mean, he's gone for, I think it's 10 or 11 so far in this over, and he's still got 2 balls to bowl. He's been very expensive, and 2, had a clear run out earlier and it was a great throw. You can't blame the throw, and he just dropped the ball, and they've really pulled him apart tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the projected score as things stand. It's assuming there's no acceleration. Obviously, you've got a Tristan Stubbs who does seem to be kind of going along all right, and Markram who's on 73 not out. So they're currently going along just a little bit over 9 over. Projected, as I say, 181. You have to believe 200 really is on the cards.
100%. I mean, they've got 3 overs left, and you've got 2 batsmen who not only do we know that they can clear the boundary, they're showing us tonight that they can clear the boundary, as well as just get it to the boundary, as that one gets slapped across by Stubbs for 4 runs, and that just sums up Nandre Burger's evening. I'm quite sure JSK fans will be happy to see that that's the end of his spell, because that has been very, very expensive. I mean, Nandre Burger's given the Sunrisers a third of their score by himself.
Yeah, 50 runs from his 4 overs, not a wicket to speak of. And I mean, it's kind of fitting that we watched Tristan Stubbs absolutely panel him for 4 for his last delivery. I mean, as you said, it sums up his evening. It sums up the JSK's evening with him, at least with the ball in hand. What have you made of the other bowlers?
I think Mahesh Theekshana he was really good. As I said to Steve a little bit earlier, he hasn't bowled badly. He had 2 overs, I think, that both went for 11, and the other 2 were very quiet. I think he bowled nicely. I think Lazard Williams has been really good besides for his last over. I think Romario Shepherd has not been good at all. I might eat my words here. Is there a man there?
Oh my goodness.
That would have been one hell of a grab, that by Sibs Makanya, but unfortunately not to be.
So Aiden Markram survives, moves on to 75. I wonder just how telling that will be. I mean, as you say, Romario Shepherd really not bowling to his standard so far this evening. Whew, I mean, if you're Faf du Plessis, you must be a bit concerned about the runs on the board at the moment.
I think so. I mean, you look at the way these guys are going, you're sitting there at 160 odd, 159. Oh, is that gone all the way? That's gone all the way. And
that is well and truly into the stands. This is not.
I mean,
looking
that's
good for JSK.
That's 165 with 2 and a bit overs left to go, and there's no signs of slowing down. Once again, you've got Nandre Burger, who's just been smashed around the park in his final over. You've got Romario Shepherd, who's being smashed around the park in his final over. And so I think if you Faf, you're disappointed and you're slightly worried at what's being put up, because there he goes again.
And that's a big one. That is a big one.
Can we retire Romario Shepherd hurt? Like now?
Like right now, yeah. Just
like right now.
Let Faf come in and bowl the last 3.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
Nah, that's 14 off 3 now. As we said, 200 at this rate, 220 is looking likely.
And JSK are making this so much harder for themselves than they need to. And you think about back more than a couple of overs ago, you go back to the 3rd over, and the Sunrisers are sitting at 15 for 2, and just kind of thinking, wow, JSK are here to play, and they're really going to restrict Sunrisers. And the Sunrisers said, no, thank you. And they are sending 2 of their bowlers, 2 key bowlers, to the cleaners. And there he goes
Another
again.
Wild swing, that one, nobody in there in deep. but they will definitely get certainly through for the single, or they're on 2. No, they're on the 2, yeah.
You know what my big...
keep themselves to 89 now. But yeah, sorry.
You know what my biggest thing at the moment is, especially tonight, you've seen Markram put a couple in the air over the inner ring that he hasn't got all of, that haven't gone to the boundary, and most of them have come off Shepherd and Burger, but there's never been a fielder there. So Faf has set them a field. They've asked Faf to set a certain field, to bowl certain balls, and they haven't done that. And I think that's a big issue, because if you bowl to your field, you restrict runs, and neither of them have done that.
No, they haven't. As we see, about 1 million flying ants in the way here. Look at that.
That's going to go to the boundary again.
It's a great shot there. I mean,
it's an unreal shot.
Really well, just taking a couple of steps outside off stump. Shepherd tried to kind of follow him, but Markram just kind of managed to get enough bat on that to scoop it all the way down the leg side. I mean, that would have gone comfortably for a wide.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought that Burger was bad, but Shepherd has taken that title well and truly from Burger, sitting on 53 with the ball or 2 to bowl.
I mean, that's it. This is Naden Markram, who's very much, he's looking very good, in very good form at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
There through for the single, which means it brings up the end of the 17th over.
21 runs off that.
21 runs, let's just say. Jeez. 178 for the loss of 3 now. I mean, what did we say? 2 overs? Yeah, 210 is certainly doable. Hey? I mean, what do they need? They need another 12, another 22 to get to 200. 2 overs, that's definitely doable. 210, I'd say. It's on the cards here.
And I have been a little bit harsh and critical on the bowlers. And what you said, I mean, you're bowling to an in-form Markram. He's settled. He's been at the crease since the 3rd over. And so you've got to give Markram credit. He's batted really, really nicely, and he's doing a skipper's job in a semi-final. This is what you want your skipper to do. You want him to stand up and score runs and be the man in the middle to carry you to possibly the final. However, the bowlers really have given him a couple of balls to work with.
Yeah, look, they've given a good few free passes there. I mean, you're looking at this bowler scorecard. Nandre Burger, none for 50 off his 4. And then alongside him there, Romario Shepherd. What was that?
None for 54.
54, yeah, exactly. I mean, that's
so between the two of them, they've contributed more than a half of SEC score.
Yeah, 104 runs with not a single wicket between them. And look, a lot of that has been down to bad bowling.
Maybe these flying ants will fly into Markram's face and he can't see. Who knows?
I wonder what happens in that situation. Well, that one, they certainly didn't do that then.
No. 100 up for Markram.
Excellent.
Listen, well batted. That is one hell of an innings from a man who's received so much speculation throughout his professional career that he can do it at domestic level, but he can't do it at international level, and he's hot and he's cold. Well, listen, that is one hell of an innings, and he showed just how much class he really is capable of.
Yeah, no, look, there's no doubting it. I mean, it's funny. I think, it's been unfortunate for Markram in that his red ball lack of form, should I say, has really kind of bled into the perceptions of his white ball cricket. It's been really, really unfair on him, I think. People need to be able to, draw those parallels between the two, as we see.
He's gone again.
Gone. No, he hasn't.
He's out.
Well, there we are.
That's unlucky. I think he really would have been relishing the fact to be there for 17 overs and get it all the way to the end.
He would have liked it, but nonetheless, 158, job done.
That's one hell of an innings. He's done exactly what his team needed. He has been the damager, and he has seriously damaged JSK.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, despite just the numbers on the board, I think the innings is more than just 100 runs. Coming in and all that pressure. If Sunrisers do go on to win it, you kind of got to say,
he's their match winner.
He's the match winner, and I say that despite the obvious 100 runs that he scored. I think he played a role that's bigger than just 100 runs.
Yeah, because as we were saying earlier, I think I was on comms with him, and with you as well. We said it when you hopped on. He came in and went with Thurman, and they went through a rebuilding phase. He was there. He was ticking it along, rotating the strike, dealing in ones and twos, rebuilding them to a point where they could then say, all right, it's time to fire. And he fired.
Yeah, that was very clever cricket. Now we see Jordan Cox coming to the crease. Now, if you're Jordan Cox, what do? Do you try and get off strike and let Tristan Stubbs have a go, or do you just see if you can have a bat yourself?
I think maybe see if you can have a bat yourself, because I think already this total is defendable. I think 178 to 180 odd is a defendable total. And so I think you see one or two balls and then you go for it as well, because there's balls there to be hit.
Yeah, well, we see they do just take the single instead there. They could have maybe pushed for two, but in the end, not to be. So we see Tristan Stubbs coming back on to crease, watching the celebrations. Oh, look.
Is that Markram's dad?
Yes.
And he's crying, shame.
Oh, bless him.
Is that his wife?
I don't know.
If it is, he's got a good strike rate on and off the pitch.
Exactly, there we go. What happens here? Tristan Stubbs.
Oh, there's another wicket. Stubbs is gone. This could be big, because instead of SEC getting to 100, 200 odd, I think Faf will be quite happy to restrict them to 180 odd. So the Lazard Williams, his third over was expensive. His first ball in this over was expensive, but 4 wickets, he's doing a job for the JSK.
Yeah, he's pulled it back nicely. He really has. But I mean, look, I'm still sitting here. Call me the pessimist, but I do wonder whether or not the damage has already been done. Is this too little, too late? If this came 3 overs ago, 4 overs ago, you would have been looking at maybe 160.
100%, and I think, as you said, I think the damage has been done. I think now it's just a job of trying to stop the bleeding for JSK.
Yeah.
Because 185 is a very big target to chase, especially in a semi-final, especially against the likes of the man who's just walked to the crease, Marco Jansen, because we know what he's capable of doing with the bat in hand as well as with the ball in hand.
Well, let's see. Here we are. He faces his first ball, and that gets sort of spotted. And
great stop by Wade.
Yeah.
Not a bad 4 overs from Williams. A little bit expensive in his third, but 36 for 4. It's been important, because without him, I reckon you see ACC scoring 250.
Oh yeah. Oh no, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. Look, I mean, let's not take anything away from Marco Jansen. We know that he's more than capable of slapping a long ball, and with more and more regularity. Actually, as time's gone by, I mean, I'm still this proponent that he is an all-rounder. I don't consider him a I don't consider him just a bowler. Yeah. I see Steve Pettit has just given us a lovely fact there. Markram's second 50 runs came off 17 balls.
Jeepers.
That's phenomenal.
That's impressive.
That really is phenomenal. I mean, what an innings it's been, and I mean, what a night! What a night it's been. It's just been such a great advert for the tournament already.
100%. I mean, oh my days, what on earth was that?
Well, I mean, it's going to be 4.
Yeah. Good effort there in the field, but that's going to be 4. I'm not quite sure what that ball was exactly. Yeah, I don't know if that slipped out of the hand.
Yeah, and it's a no ball.
It's a no ball. Yeah, and I think what Faf will be disappointed about tonight is the extras that they've given away. I think they've given away 3 or 4 no balls. They've bowled a lot of wide balls.
They must have probably given away close on 40 or 50 runs in extras.
Yeah, and it hurts. I mean, yes, you've had the no ball 6 and the no ball 4s, but even if you just count them as single extras, I think they've probably given away between 10 and 15 extras in the game. And if you take 15 runs off this total as it sits now, if you go to 177, it's a lot different to 192, and it's another no ball.
Again, I mean,
this is not good.
Insanity, yeah, that really is insanity.
And I mean, from Gerald Couture, who's been so good tonight and throughout the tournament, to come in and finish this. I mean, his over hasn't even started.
But you know, it's what pressure will do to you, I suppose.
Yeah, you need guys who can hold their own in moments like this, and it's proving a little bit difficult for the JSK guys.
Now, let's see what happens. I mean, how's that? So, what? How many runs have we gone for there?
We've got 5, 6 so far. So,
6 off already.
Yeah, 6 of
them. Yeah, less than ideal. Well, let's see. Here he comes in for his second ball. And
oh my days, that's going to be another one. Oh, Lummersfield.
So what's that? It's going to be 2 no balls.
Yeah, keep an eye on the umpires, Bomb. Keep an eye on the umpires.
Let's see. What are they calling that?
Is it a no ball?
Looks like they're going to go upstairs for it. That's a no ball.
Yeah, that's a no ball. It's above the waist. This has not been a good over by.
No, this is really it's undone all of his good work. And I mean, he's done such good work. You know, it's amazing what 4 deliveries can do.
And I mean, you see the body language from Faf there. I think he is starting to get a little bit irritated with his players now. I mean, he's asked them to do a job, and they're making his job that much harder. Oh, he's just got banged for 6. This is becoming very...
that brings up
the way this is going...
And it's the 3rd straight 200+ score on this ground.
And this is sort of, given the JSK bowlers haven't been great, but this is what I was speaking about earlier when I said I was surprised by Faf's decision to bowl first, because they say Pretoria is their bowler's graveyard, and I've just heard there, this is the 3rd straight 200+ score on this ground.
Yeah.
And so you've got to think,
look, I mean, maybe it'll give him some confidence, but...
Oh, he's gone again. As we see a great dive there for the one-handed catch. I mean, this has been, what, 5, 6, 7, 10, he's 22 runs and he's still got 3 balls to go.
No, I mean, this is match losing bowling.
100%. This is a joke, really.
Yeah.
And you would, and this is the second last over. There's still an over to come after this.
No, there's not. This is the last over.
And I don't know if you just saw there. Oh, this is the last over. Sorry, my bad. But Stephen Fleming's left the dugout and walked upstairs.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's going to be... What's it old Alex Ferguson did? Do the hairdryer treatment.
Yeah.
This is what you use.
This is... Yeah, I think there's gonna be some ugly words and possibly a few smacks going around that dressing room.
Yeah, well, understandably. I mean, you're just watching some of the players just looking on in horror at this. I mean, I don't know what is Coetzee doing?
I don't know. It's like he's lost all ability to bowl. He's forgotten. Ouch, that's not so nice for Faf there.
Also having a bit of an anal roll there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's forgotten how to bowl. He can't find a line, he can't find a length, and he's being smashed.
Let's see, I mean, 2 balls to go, 211. You know, originally I said what, 220 could be on. Oh, well, there we go, a rare dot.
I heard the noise up here of that swing.
Creepers.
Goodness me, I mean, 211 with the last ball still to come. Absolutely unbelievable.
Well, I can promise you, if you had asked Faf what he thought they would be chasing before they walked onto the field, his guess wouldn't have been anywhere near 211.
I think if you could ask Faf 5 overs ago what he would have been chasing, he wouldn't have said 211. Let's see what happens. Last ball. Stepped across.
Is that going to be a wide?
No. Oh my word, now we're having overthrows. 2 overthrows. Good God, that just sums
And I think it might be a wide.
Nope. He's calling it 5. Right, well there we are. 213, that last over, 27
runs.
My goodness me, I mean, all of Coetzee's work undone there. 41 is what he went for, and 27 was off the last over. Absolutely unreal. 213 for the loss of 5 at the end of their 20. What do you reckon?
It's a big ask, and I mean, if JSK can do it, I think it'll be one hell of a chase, and it'll show show some. If JSK pull this off, I would not want to be facing them on Saturday come the final, because that it's a big ask.
No, it really is.
So it's going to be interesting. I think the
not
biggest thing is JSK need a good power play, and they cannot afford to lose a wicket. They need Faf to score another 100.
Problem is you can't keep relying on Faf, can you?
That's exactly it. You need Reza Hendricks. Reza needs to come to the party. He hasn't come to the party the entire tournament. You need Reza Hendricks. You need Matthew Wade. You need everybody to chip in to chase down a total of this. Because I mean, even if Faf scores 100 or 80 odd, there's still a lot of work to do to get to 214 to win.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a time like this. You definitely need someone like a Donovan Ferreira, who kind of hasn't, he hasn't come to the fore nearly as much as he would have wanted to. And I mean, look, no better moment to do it than now. Because I mean, look at that batting lineup: Faf, du Plessis, Reza Hendricks. Who else is playing? Lewis Deploy, Sibonelo Montagna, Matthew Wade. Of course, you can hit a long ball. Donovan Ferreira, then you into Romario Shepherd, Gerald Coetzee, Andre Berger, Lizard Williams, Mahish Tikshana. That is not a long batting lineup.
No. So they're going to need guys to really perform and contribute tonight if they want to defend it, if they want to chase this total.
Yeah, I mean, let's have a look now quickly at this bowling lineup.
I mean, the only benefit to this innings is Steve and I made a bet when we were on air last night as to how many sixes there are going to be in the tournament. And Steve went with 365 and I went with 374, I think, 375. And I think Sunrise has got me about 10 in this innings.
Yeah, no, I think you're smiling. Yeah, what was the bet, by the way?
The first round of beers that's on Saturday at the final.
The first round. Stephen thinks around for him is 4, you understand?
So then it's 4 for me as well.
Yeah, probably. Well, look, when we get back, we're going to have a quick word with Steve Pettit, who is at the ground. Just a quick innings wrap. But for now, Ross, thank you very much. You and Stephen Kirker will, of course, be back for the second innings.
See you in a bit.
Bit of extra bounce and stuff like that.
Welcome back. Here we are. It is midway through the massacre at Centurion. Stephen Pettit, you witnessed it. I'm surprised you don't have a safety hat on. What do you make of that one? Hell's bells.
I can't believe when you consider how much JSK had taken under control. Yeah, they had to bats was great. The bowling that was no balls, no waste up. I mean, he put it actually taken off again. Yeah, I mean, it's the biggest belief. They should be there. They should be chasing 180 tops. Yeah, I mean, just very third up. Mario Shepherd, Jill Ashton, standard all the good work. I mean, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that match from here for yeah, not pretty. Not pretty. The crowd's actually loving it. But, incredible from Markham, must be said.
Yeah, I know it is, absolutely. I mean, Markham really, we're actually busy watching the highlights now of him here on the TV, and he's put in a great knock. He really has. I think, 100 off was at 50. I think it was 58 deliveries or so. Really, it's as much a match-winning innings, I suppose, as Coetzee and to a certain degree Shepherd's last overs were match-losing innings. But I mean, do you think that just those runs there, not even necessarily from the death, but do you think that the damage was done mostly there from Markham?
Yeah, I think that came near towards the end. Gordon played very well. So yeah, I was doing this after I think it was a figure. Even doing cup at the end there. I mean, they bowled to the slot and they made it as easy as possible. But Yeah, and cameos. You talking about yesterday. There were no cameos in that story, Capital Innings, for example. And despite Mark getting 100, but there were plenty of other contributions around that Sunrise side. I mean, they'll be walking out there and watching them. They'll be warming up and bowling and stuff like that. And they'll be smiling. I mean, they'll be thinking, listen, we've got one for the team. The one thing I'm sure is that this place is known as the Voters Graveyard. That deck is coming on nicely. The field's very quick. Not the biggest ground here. It's not. I mean, they really were starting 14 and they really were starting to get it on. So the runs out here, but you got to fire yourself and you got to get yourself in. The big thing about it is the weather. It doesn't seem to be raining around. The weather forecast says there could be some rain. Looking around, I don't think so. So I don't think that's going to be a big thing, but you got to get ahead of that rain there if it does start to rain. And that's really good to keep up in the back of the score.
Right, well, there we have it. Thank you very much, Steve. And when we return after the innings break, it is a mountain to climb for the men from Johannesburg, partially through the grace and excellent play of Aiden Markram, but you have to say probably even more so as a result of their own making. Some truly shaky is not even the word. Some truly suspect bowling at the tail there, allowing the Sunrisers Eastern Cape to reach 213 for the loss of just 5 wickets at the end of their knock. If you have a look at it, of course there was the Aiden Markram innings, but then a useful knock at the end. 20 off 11 from Tristan Stubbs, 18 off 6 from Jordan Cox, who also kind of chipped in, and a spare word for Jordan Herman with his 48 eventually being run out there of 36 deliveries. So that is the story from the middle as things stand. When we are back, we will see both Ross and Steve Kirker having a word as we look at just how Joburg Super Kings are going to chase down this mammoth total of 214. We'll see you in a bit.
Welcome back to Forever Sport Cricket's coverage of the second semi-final, which is taking place in Centurion. And the match today is between Joburg Super Kings. It's such are the vagaries of this tournament that the playoff matches were always going to be at set stadiums. And we saw Pretoria Capitals playing their semi-final yesterday at the Wanderers. And tonight, Joburg Super Kings are playing at at Centurion. I beg your pardon. And a massive task for Joburg Super Kings to win this semi-final. Faf du Plessis won the toss and chose to bat, preferring to chase on what he thought would be a wicket which would aid the bowlers first up. It did indeed aid the bowlers, but unfortunately, Joburg Super Kings bowlers did not give the captain the backing that he wanted, and 214 is a massive target. And while we've seen Faf du Plessis, I mean, we saw Aiden Markram play a wonderful skipper's knock. I have to say, it's not been a great start at all for the Joburg Super Kings. And Ross is alongside me in commentary as well. Well, Ross, tell us about that delivery which got rid of the Super Kings skipper and the start that has Sunrisers Eastern Cape made.
I mean, you've just seen that second ball, not necessarily the wicket ball from Magala, but that second ball has sliced, I think it's Berger in half. Magala looks like he's getting a lot of movements on the ball, and also he's managed to find his line and length. A similar delivery to the first wicket that JSK got, a little bit shorter into the track, an extra bounce, and has yielded a wicket. And you were speaking about Markram putting on a skipper's knock earlier and doing a skipper's job. I mean, Faf tried to give his team the best chance possible by doing what he thought was right at the toss. And this is just going from bad to worse for JSK. I think losing Faf on the first ball of the innings is the worst possible outcome for JSK, and I think they've got a very big mountain to climb now.
No, indeed they do. So a spectacular start to this innings. I kind of get the feeling that this could, if Super Kings do get close to this, it's going to take something special. But I have a slightly sad feeling that this could be a really lopsided run chase. But that remains to be seen, because one of the reasons I guess that du Plessis chose to bowl first was that he thought this pitch was going to ease out a little bit. It wouldn't suggest so from the zip that Magala's getting from the track.
And I agree with you. Oh, that's out. Oh, no, you got a little bit of bat on that. Yeah, it doesn't look to have eased up at all. I mean, there's a wicket maiden from Magala. I mean, that's exactly the start you want as a team defending a massive target. I mean, I reckon SET could have afforded Magala to go for 10 there in his first over, and it still would have been okay. But
I want to ask you this. I was quite surprised. We were both quite surprised by Carl Simmons having been left out. If we look at that bowling card of the Joburg Super Kings, we can see that the most economical bowler today was, in fact, the slow bowler.
Yeah.
And Kyle Simmons hasn't been picked. Did the Super Kings make a mistake in not picking Kyle Simmons?
I think so. I think he's played really nicely for them so far, and as you said, the most economical bowler was the slow bowler, and I do think that they've made a mistake in not picking him, and I think it could come back and hurt them. Another interesting topic in terms of players, we were speaking about Reza Hendricks earlier. He's been dropped from the opening spot, which I think is quite interesting.
Well, it tells you, and maybe that's what Stephen Fleming was doing at the change of innings, because he went dashing down. I mean, yes, he was joking about the hairdryer treatment, but it's not like half time in a football match
Yeah.
The same players, most of the same players come down and they've got to deliver.
Oh, there's
Oh
another
my
leg
word!
there.
This is fantastic,
This is a
sensational
disaster. Oh, and it's
start
Lewis deploy.
for the spectacular start to this innings for the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, and they've yet to actually score a run off the bat, and I think they're 2 wickets down.
Yeah, and I think I've got to go back to what you said about an over ago, Stephen, about this being possibly a very lopsided run chase. And it's sad to see because, I mean, JSK have been in such fine form, winning 5 in a row and looking possibly like tournament favourites up there with the Pretoria Capitals. You would have favoured them playing in the high felts. They're not playing at home, but not far from home. I think you would have favoured them over Sunrisers. And yeah, nah.
The dugout, the Super Kings dugout, is not looking happy.
No.
We've seen stranger things happen in a cricket match, and
we have.
Well, yeah, maybe there was some leather jackets and stuff exchanged. Let's not go down that road. Come on, now. Come now. we can have cricket miracles, okay? But as we say that, Reza Hendricks, he's basically opening the batting now again, because he's come in at the drop of the fall of the second wicket,
and the score's almost 0 as well. So
yeah, okay. So
good start there.
And this is what we know Hendricks can do.
Yeah.
It's not a particularly bad delivery.
No, but he's worked it away really nicely off his legs.
He's really seen it well, and he's worked it off the legs before. So, maybe cometh the hour, cometh the man. We saw this in yesterday's semi-final with one of the Riley Rousseau, one of the players who has made a living out of playing 20-over cricket around the world, and of course one of those players who opted to go the cold pack route, and has actually been welcomed back into the national setup. And I do believe it's good that we have him back and have these players available to play again.
Agreed.
But Reza Hendricks, I mean, I would say he has to be the one now who anchors this innings at this stage. And if he can face 50 or 60 deliveries, and take the Super Kings deep, perhaps that's what the Super Kings need to think about at this stage.
Yeah, carry on. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and let other batters take the risks and bat around him.
Yeah, similar in what you're saying. Do you think now, because barring the run situation, I think Sunrisers were probably about 10, I reckon around 10 runs further ahead at this point, so nothing insane. Do you think Reza, he needs to pull off an Aiden Markram-esque innings and do something similar to what Markram did in the first innings, and that could still leave JSK with a fighting chance? But they're now in a position after just about 2 over where they're only on 6. They do need to accelerate a bit through this power play.
Well, and this was the stage where we saw Williams doing pretty well in terms of picking up the 2 wickets.
Yeah.
But also bowling 1 or 2, not as many freebies, but 1 or 2 bad balls. And particularly at the other end from Joburg Super Kings, I can only remember one stage where the Super Kings managed to string together 2 what I call pressure overs. Apart from that, well, and this was there may have been good bowling from one end, Williams but doing pretty well in terms of picking up 2 wickets.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I mean, you've got Magala who bowled a spotless, just about spotless over, and you've got Jansen who's also just about bowled a spotless over. So if they carry on like that, as you said, there's no freebies coming from either end. And so the batsmen are going to have to create shots and take on risks to score. Well, there's a freebie.
as we say that.
Maybe we speak it into existence.
Maybe we do. Magala bowls a shocker down the leg side.
Yeah.
The low balls, though, were a very big problem for the Super Kings.
Yeah.
We saw a number of the no balls bowled as above waist high full tosses. And when you do that, you're essentially giving a batsman a baseball shot to play.
Yeah, you're saying, here's the ball, hit it. Do with it what you want.
And we saw the damage. If we go back to those no balls, and I remember one of the free hits being hit for a 6.
Before that was hit for a 4.
And the ball before that was hit for a 4. And I think we saw 2 of those full toss no balls hit for 6s.
Yeah.
Before the free hit had come.
Yeah. So I mean, you look at 4 balls there. That's what? It's about 22 runs.
Indeed.
Without the added extras. So it's 26 runs of 4 balls that you really don't need. Especially at this great shot by Reza Hendricks again. They just clipped off the legs.
Yeah, and again, that I think is where Reza Hendricks is very well. If you bowl, conventional, and that was, drifting down leg. It's it's meat and veg, as they say. He will play you off his pads the whole day, and happily either farm the strike if there's a fielder there at fine leg, or as we saw there, when the fielder's up, he'll score boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good ball from Magala, changing it up a little bit there, dropping that one a little bit shorter.
And we see Hendricks there flashing outside the off stump.
Now that just popped up there, their current rate and the required rate. They're currently sitting at about 4.85, requiring 11, close to 12 and over.
Is it fair to say that Reza Hendricks is quite significantly stronger on the leg side? I mean, we've seen him there not moving his feet very much, and there again, when he's on the leg side, he's moving his feet and he's choosing his gap.
I definitely think he's a leg side strong player. He much prefers scoring on the leg side, having the ball come into him and just working it off his body. And it's like what you said, that ball that was going outside the off stump, he just flashed at it and swung at it, and there's no real foot movement or any sort of cricket shots. It's just a flash where he's just trying to get it out somewhere. But you see it come into his body and off his pads, and he manages to play some really nice shots and has some good wrist work.
You'd think, oh no, here he's chipped. Oh yeah, that's pretty lucky. There. Again, it's quite a straight delivery there from Magala, and he's tried to chip it onto, I think that was a deliberate chip into the offside, but he didn't. I think he probably mistimed that slightly, right on the toe end of the bat as well. Yeah. And he's lucky to clear the fielder there at mid-off.
But it's also, you see, with a shot like that, I understand if he's just trying to play the little chip shot over the inner ring to clear the man. But with a shot like that, you've always got a chance, because you're not originally planning on putting all that much power behind it. If you mistime that slightly like he did, your chances of being caught are extremely high. Would you not think you would want to put as much power behind that as possible?
Well, I would think so. So now here's the thing. He's played that very, very nicely, but that was close to him.
Yeah,
that was close to him. That was,
there wasn't much width.
Yeah, there wasn't much width, but I mean that's where he's so strong. When the ball is at him, he's adjusted very well. So from a technical point of view, and just to describe that, I mean, what he's done is the ball has come to him, and he's turned the face of the bat, and he's timed it really well, and he's played it very strongly down to the third man boundary.
Third man. That's a good over, I think, for Joburg Super Kings. I mean, that's released them a little bit. 17 runs in that over compared to like 8 of the first 2. So that's a massive help for them. And I think they've got to keep ticking along like this. They don't have to do anything silly. They don't have to take crazy risks. I think they need to try and up the rate a little bit. If they can try and get to about 8 and over and just tick along and get to the 13th, 14th over, and then go like SEC did. And then just quickly, I know I'm speaking a lot, but it's what we were talking about earlier with the chopping and changing of the bowling rotation. I mean, we see Jansen's bowled 1 and he's been replaced.
This will be, again, clearly it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. There's not a lot in the scoreboard at the moment.
No.
But what I have to say is that so far there's been very few freebies from the Sunrise Eastern Cape bowlers, and at this we see Casa giving an appeal for leg before wicket. He has been on the money from the word go, and the Super Kings were not able to do that, with the exception of Lazard Williams, but he also bowled a couple of loose deliveries. That last over from Sisanda Magala wasn't a dreadful over, and I think we must give credit to Reza Hendricks for his nifty use of working the ball around.
No, definitely, because it's, as you said, there was that one boundary that went down to the fine leg region. It was not wicket to wicket, but it wasn't far off it, and Reza worked it away nicely. The others were into Reza's pads that went down to third man, that he worked away nicely. There was the one wide, which was a bit of a freebie, but otherwise, as you said, it was a good over, but just really good batting and movement and work and shot playmaking from Reza Hendricks.
We have the interesting aspect of another South African-born bowler or cricketer, at least, who's playing international cricket for another country in Bryden Casa here. What have you made of some of these players like Casa, who's not exactly a high-profile, English player, but is known for his T20 speciality?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's a little bit sad that we've lost, because you look at the guys of Labuschagne, you look at Casa, and you would like to see them playing for South Africa at some point. But I guess if they're not getting the chance here and they're making it for themselves there, you've got to respect them for that and creating opportunity.
No, I mean, I don't think it's. I guess more broadly speaking, the fact that our cricketers or our cricketing talent ends up playing overseas, and we see this also in rugby, is the fact that there are more opportunities, and it doesn't matter whether you're an accountant or an engineer or a welder. There is a big demand for South African skills
elsewhere
around the world, and for people to seek fame and fortune, not exactly, but make a living overseas. You can't take that away. And the way that South African cricket now has restructured everything, what's going to be the impact of that one? Anyway, I've got to
that's the end of the fourth, and I think that's me out.
That's me out. I was about to check out, and then I realized it was you checking out. Well, I'll catch you in a little bit.
Catch you in a bit. Gonna go make sure my dinner doesn't burn.
Yeah, surely we'll be crossing back to Matt, but I will just tell you that the first delivery of the fifth over has gone for a wonderfully stroked 4. And welcome back to Forever Sport Cricket coverage of this second semi-final of the SA20. It's been a fantastic tournament so far. Unfortunately, only one match affected by the rain. Faf du Plessis won the toss, chose to field first. He might be regretting that after the Sunrisers Eastern Cape put up 213 runs, losing 2 early wickets, the Super Kings in reply, including that of the skipper, Faf du Plessis. But maybe Reza Hendricks is now going to prove his worth for the Super Kings. And Matt now joins me. Matt, what's the approach here from the Super Kings?
It's such a tricky one. As by the way, we just see what I suppose you can call a dropped catch. they're going down from Sunrise's Eastern Cape. You know, if you're JSK right now, you really have to say, you have to go for it now, because, you know, when you have a target of 214 runs, you're not really left with much time, are you? Even from word go. You know, we could say, oh, the power play, you know, well, 6 overs, you want to try and get maybe, you know, if you get 45 runs, no, that can't happen as things stand. And I mean, you lose not just Captain Fantastic in Faf du Plessis, who really has carried this side at times. You also go and lose a man who was, by the way, prior to this innings, was averaging over 80 in Lewis Deploy in this tournament so far. So 2 really, you know, big, strong name, strong performing players. Arguably the 2 best players, certainly with the bat in hand, for JSK this whole entire tournament. Really, now you've got Gerald Coetzee at the crease, who by the way opened, and it's, you know, you have to go for it as far as I see it. I mean, you're not left with much time. You have to take what you can get here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Coetzee's, I mean, he would have been brought in to do a job, and he's only, you know, scored 3 runs off 9 deliveries, and Reza Hendricks, who arguably needs to anchor this innings, is scoring at a rate which, if Coetzee was scoring at a rate, the Super Kings would be in a very well placed. But it is a bit lopsided at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it really is, and it's strange because, you know, Coetzee is not exactly an opening batter normally. So I mean, he obviously was brought in to do the job of, right, let's let Faf accumulate for a little bit, while Coetzee puts the hammer down maybe early on, and then, you know, should he go, which would be understandable, at least then we've maybe bought Faf just that little bit of time to bat himself in, and then once again we hope that Faf can take it deep, because it's as we always say with T20 cricket, isn't it? You know, you take it deep and you never know what can happen. But unfortunately, that obviously went south the minute Faf du Plessis was caught on the boundary. I think it was the first ball of the innings. And, you know, now you've got Coetzee, who's kind of standing there alongside, well, at one point Lewis Deploy, and now standing alongside Reza Hendricks. And, you know, Reza's, you know, if you were to kind of put, you know, a David Miller on one hand, he's more towards the accumulator kind of a scorer. So it's an awkward position now for Coetzee, because now Coetzee is also sitting there going, well, shit, we're 2 wickets down. There's only been, 5 overs gone. He's now sitting there going, I can't afford to lose my wicket, which, you know, kind of, or sort of, you know, unfortunately sort of works even further against him in this situation. I mean, I think if I'm Coetzee now, I'm going, look, let's see out the end of the power play, hopefully, and then just go for it. You have to go wild after that.
Well, I mean, I think he's battling. I mean, we saw the last delivery from Marco Jansen. He you know, it was outside his off stump, but it was there to be hit, and he couldn't find contact with it. But he has managed to scramble a single here. So that's 2 runs off Marco Jansen's second over, from 2 runs from 3 deliveries. And unfortunately, the pressure is now actually on Reza Hendricks, who played the first ball very well. I mean, he took a single straight up, and you know, now he'll feel pressure to at least find the boundary once, I would think. The scoreboard pressure is a real thing. I mean, yes, I suppose if you're mature enough, and Reza Hendricks is, you know, he'll appreciate that sometimes a good ball can't be put away. But he does really do. I mean, Marco Jansen there hasn't played a bad delivery, but perhaps straying a little bit leg side. And Reza Hendricks, so strong on that leg side, has tucked it away for a comfortable 2. How do you bowl to Hendricks? Because the runs he's accumulated here have, by and large, been on the leg side.
Yeah, look, for me, you have to, you have to bowl, set an offside field to him, and bowl to that offside. I think with him, you know, we've seen him again there. We see him there. He just kind of has a bit of a flash. He gets lucky there. That does go for 4. You know, down past what would have been a very fine deep third man. But it's, for me, you have to set an offside field to him. And I mean, it's, you know, the way I'm seeing it right now is I'm going, there's so many runs that are needed. You can, if you're Aiden Markham now, you could maybe even go so far as to put a slip in place.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, if we accept that he's weak outside his off stump, then you needed to have that slip in there before the horse had bolted.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, look, I still don't think it's too late in a sense. I mean, yeah, sure, fine.
No, sure.
He's faced 18 balls, so he has got his eye in a bit. He's not out of 31, which is not exactly a shambles of an innings. But I think when you've got so many runs to play with, 214 runs to achieve, and let's be honest, it's Reza Hendricks or likely nobody who's going to do it. I mean, I would say to myself right now, okay, well, you know what, we get Reza Hendricks out, we've essentially, come very, very close to winning the damn match. So let's give him 50 runs insofar as let's play an attacking offside field to him. And if he does manage to beat us away for a few, that's fine. We can afford those. At this point, I think your number one goal has to be the wicket of Hendricks. And I mean, I see they're bringing now Otniel Bartman back on. So we've already seen a little bit less rotation maybe of bowlers. Clearly, again, that's down to that aggression. And I think it's what you need to do. You need to have bowling aggression here.
It's really quite interesting is that the scoring rate hasn't, Super Kings are slightly ahead of the scoring rate at this stage, but the Sunrisers Eastern Cape benefited from some really, really bad bowling, particularly towards the latter stage of the innings where there were a whole raft of no balls, high, over waist high full tosses that were put away for six, no ball, the free hits which were put away for six. It was carnage. It was absolute carnage, and we haven't seen the same wastefulness from Sunrisers Eastern Cape. Will the ball get more slippery? I spoke to Steve Pettit, and we'll probably cross to him a little bit later, towards the end of the innings break, and he said it doesn't look like there's going to be any more rain. And I do think that brief rain shower seems to have upset the Super Kings bowlers rather, because we saw a lot of control lost after that shower.
It does. I mean, I'm sure it did in a sense, but I don't want to run the risk of just letting them off the hook by blaming the weather. I mean, it's sure fine. There was a minor bit of drizzle, and as Steve Pettit said, it wasn't really that much rain. I mean, it was shambolic bowling. Let's be honest, across the board, irrespective of whether or not it was a drought or a flood. And we're looking at it now. I mean, the conditions can't be that much different. I'm sure the outfield is pretty similar to how it was half an hour ago. So, if that ball is a bit damp now, we haven't seen Otniel Bartman, who's gone for 2 off this over, and he's gone for 10 or 3 off this over now, 10 off nearly 2 overs. We haven't seen him bowling like that. I mean, maybe you can also add to it. There's the element of, slightly less pressure on the Sunrisers Eastern Cape bowling lineup because they've got so many runs to play with. Maybe there's something to be said for that, but they don't need to try the risky balls. As we see that one going safely into the crowd for a 6. Well, that'll be a little bit of pressure off there, ruining Bartman's over. As Kutsia is the man who goes on to clear the boundary. I'm sure he'll like that as well. I mean, it moves him on to 11 or 14, which is still not ideal, but a bit of a relief.
Well, maybe he's finally got his eye in. I mean, I think my point about bowling with a slightly wet ball is you're a professional cricketer. These are the kind of things you need to adapt and adjust to, and maybe you need to work out what deliveries you can and can't bowl with a wet delivery. I appreciate the fact that with a softer ball and set batters, you may need to be need to think of your options and not simply go for line and length. But if you are trying to bowl out the back of your hand and it's an unusual delivery, perhaps that's not the best delivery to try and bowl.
Yeah, and we saw Lizard Williams, I think it was, doing that, didn't we? Where he had that one no ball that went miles over the head. I mean, he almost bowled it onto his own foot. It really was quite insane. So yeah. Well, hang on. What are we seeing now? It looks like they've taken away the 6. They've
That's
taken
a bit
away the
odd.
6 and they're
Because it
reloading
hit
the
the
ball because it hit the camera.
Okay. He killed the camera.
But I mean, if anything, that should have taken the pace off the ball. It still went for 6.
That is really interesting. I'm confused and puzzled and not a little bit astounded by that. And as you can imagine, Coetzee is less than charmed with life.
Well, I'm sure, yeah. I mean, it was by far and away his best shot. Well, let's see what he does with the version 2. Well, that's a wide. So he'll get version 3. Let's see what he can do with that one. But yeah, no, that is interesting. I mean, I wasn't actually aware. I suppose, it makes sense because it just as well as it went for 6, it could have also been caught.
Yeah, so it's basically dead ball. It's just it's not a no ball. It's not a wide. It's just go back and do that again.
Yeah, but nonetheless, I'm pretty sure Coetzee will be bemused because it hit the camera and still had the legs to get over the crease.
How much do those cameras cost? And is that ever going to work again? Now he's got one out of the screws.
Well, there we go. There's no camera involved there. He's got that one nicely. It wasn't a great delivery, to be fair.
But Coetzee, give him some credit. I think he moved out of his crease and turned what was going to be a full toss anyway into a perfect hitting height.
Yeah, you got hold of that very nicely. That thing sailed straight back over Botman's head. Nice, comfortable 6. Again, I think that'll probably even further, increase his confidence, knowing that he's now legitimately or otherwise hit 2 6s this over.
And here he's adjusted very nicely, actually, but he's reached for one outside his off stump and managed to get it off the bat, but he's only taken a single. I suspect that might have been called a wide.
I think it may have been, yes. I think it may have been, had he not moved, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so where are we? 53 for 2 are the Super Kings after 7 overs, and not in a bad position, actually, considering the start that they made.
Yeah, no, all things considered, but I still look at it and I say it's a precariously not bad position because one wicket and it really could just fall to pieces. It really could just fall to pieces. I think Hendricks, as we've said, and you've so rightly said now, he needs to anchor this innings. I think he's going along nicely, 33 not out of 20. Coetzee's there. He's now 12 or 15, but he's shown that he's into it. So let's see. Now we've got the spin of Roelof van der Merwe.
This is going to be a critical part of the game, and the Super Kings decided against picking Kyle Simmons, and we saw that their most economical bowler was Mahesh Dixana, so they might be regretting not having Kyle Simmons. We look at Mario Shepard. He went for 13.5 runs an over. Having said that, he will have a role to play with the bat. Van der Merwe has struck almost straight away. The second delivery of Roelof van der Merwe's spell, and his left arm.
So he was stumped, actually. He wasn't bowled.
Yeah, he was stumped.
He just he stepped out of the crease, fair enough, and then just kind of missed it entirely. Good wicket keeping, must be said.
Yeah, good wicket keeping, and he's a wily character.
Roelof
van der Merwe. Yeah, he is. And he's been wonderful back in the country. It's been nice. I always fancied the passion he played the game with when he was when he was still playing in South Africa most of his cricket and turning out for the Proteas. He was a little bit hit or miss for the Proteas, but he seems to know his game really, really well at the moment. But perhaps his batting has fallen away a little bit. He was always a really exciting and powerful batter. But he's paid most of his wage to do a job with the ball, and he's done a very good job here in South Africa in the SA20.
Yeah, he certainly has, and we'll look there. He's got had 2 deliveries so far. One's a dot ball and one's a wicket. So it's good to see him. As you say, he's a wily character. He's one of those cricketers. We seem to develop them quite a lot in South Africa. Cricketers who kind of I don't want to say the twilight years, because they're certainly not the twilight years, but they are the mature years of the game, and they do seem to. I mean, we look at we were discussing it actually earlier on in the season, like a Wayne Parnell is another great example of a player who's kind of hit 30 odd and really has matured his game nicely. And Rudolph van der Merwe, as you say, he's one of those. And I think, look, he'll probably fancy bowling here back on South African, creases. He knows these places like the back of his hands. Who knows? He's got plenty of experience here at home. So I think, looking at it tonight, he'll fancy that he can do a good job here tonight.
Matthew Wade is the batter who's come to the crease, and he's the third delivery he's faced. He's managed to push it away into the covers and taken a single, which brings Reza Hendricks back on strike. Reza Hendricks is on 33 of 20 deliveries. Matthew Wade, what have you made of his performances so far since he came into the tournament?
I must be honest, I haven't had much chance to watch him, but I mean, I know that last time out he did put in a very good knock. And again, another one, lovely, experienced campaigner. I mean, he's certainly done it on an international level for many years. I think it's great to have him in the tournament. I think he's somebody that JSK would be very happy to have right now at the crease. I think he's somebody that you can certainly rely on. You can certainly, you can trust him with the bat. You can trust him to, if he needs to hold up an innings, you can certainly trust him to slap a long boundary if he needs to. I think he's an excellent addition to Joburg Super Kings. But we can talk about this just a little bit later, because for now we are rejoined by our young man Ross, who I presume has had his dinner that we hope hasn't burned as of yet. I see he's shaking his head, so he hasn't. Well, we'll have to let him have a bit of
Do you want some?
What on earth is that? Good God. Right, Steve, I'll let you run away so you don't have to witness this nonsense.
No, I can't. This is a family show, isn't it?
Yes, well, there we go. I mean, I don't know what's on that plate, but that does look like it deserves an age restriction.
Catch you later. I'm going for a refill.
Cheers, Steve. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back. Here we are. We've got some exciting rainy cricket on the go. We've got Ross, who has some chicken and avocado for dinner, God bless him. And we have Reza Hendricks, who is seemingly single-handedly trying to keep the Joburg Super Kings in the fight in the second semi-final against the Sunrisers Hyderabad of our SA20 last 4 matches. So when we left you, Ross, there was Reza Hendricks. He was kind of plugging along quite nicely. I forget who was alongside him at the crease. Was it Gerald Coetzee?
It was Gerald Coetzee, yeah, it was Coetzee.
Okay, well now we've got Matthew Wade. If I was to give you a choice of the two, who would you rather have?
Wade.
Why?
I think pulling off his last innings, that quick fire 40, he knows how to bat, especially in T20s, and I think they need something like that quick fire 40. They need it to last a little bit longer and yield a few more runs than 40 and out. But I think he's definitely a man who can get a job done and accelerate the JSK to a total that by like the 12th over that they can then attack from.
Yeah, I mean, look, as things stand, what are they on? They're 61 for
61
now, and so they've still got a little bit of time to go until that 12th over. What are you hoping? I mean, if we look at it now on the score, do you have any idea kind of where they would like to be by, even if we say by the 12th over?
I think by the 12th over they need to be at 100 for no more loss. They can't. I think 100, and they can, and it's doable. I think anything less than 100, and it becomes very questionable whether they get there or not.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the other thing that you said that kind of stuck out to me was for no more loss.
Yeah,
Because
they.
you look at their batting lineup and you go, how much more is there really? Okay, you got Donovan Ferreira. We know he can hit a massive ball. But there's Sibs Makanya, Donovan Ferreira, Mario Shepherd. After that, Andre Berger, Lizard Williams, and Mahish Tikshana really aren't. Oh, there we go. That looks like it's going to go safely through the boundary. Lovely shot, isn't it?
Very nice shot. And it's as you were saying, you've got, after this, you've got Sibs Makanya and Donovan Ferreira to come. Both who haven't done much this tournament. You look at Donovan Ferreira, I think he scored 70 odd in their first home game, which was one of their earlier games. And since then hasn't done much. Sibs Makanya was a late addition to the side, but in the innings that he has had, hasn't done a lot either. We know Sibs can hit the ball nicely, but yeah, neither Ferreira or Makanya have done much. And so I wouldn't want them needing to chase 100, come in and chase 100, because I don't think they'll get that done.
No, I don't think so. 214 is quite a mammoth total, it must be said. 9 overs gone now, 66 for 3 as things stand. Look, it's not going too badly if you just look at it from a perspective of currently at the crease. Rees is going along very nicely at a strike rate of 160. He's not out on 40 of 25 with his 7 fours. Matthew Wade, he's also, he's not looking bad at all. He's 6 off 5. He has managed to find the boundary once. So, I think if he gets in, Rees is clearly in already. As you say, I think if you get to 100 after 12, I'm going to go and say that, I think it's very doable. The 100 off 12, assuming that there's no more loss. Yeah, Sibs Makanya, with all due respect, I don't think he's going to be making 100 runs.
No. And Donovan Ferreira, can he make 100 runs? Yes. Will he? I find it highly unlikely. This game's, it's a pressure game. It's a semi-final. You need a little bit of form on your side, and he doesn't have that form. And under the pressure, I don't think you'll see him score 100.
No, the pressure is what worries me about Donovan Ferreira. We have seen him score plenty of runs, earlier on in the competition, perhaps when there wasn't really that desperate need. Whereas, now we're in a semi-final. Obviously, knockout cricket's a whole different other ball game. And he hasn't done enough for me throughout the tournament to warrant having faith that he will do it under pressure. Not to say that he can't, obviously, but just I feel like he's not heading into the match with enough under his belt.
No, I fully agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Interesting change here, bringing Markram in. He's obviously decided he hasn't done enough for the Sunrisers this evening, so he's going to try and come in and pick up a couple of sticks here.
Maybe he's worried that Reza might score 100 and then, you might take the man of the match award away from him. So he's gunning for that one,
take a couple of sticks.
That's it. Markram's been bloody good. 10 wickets so far in this tournament. He's got an average of under 6.5.
And his best figures of 2 for 7. Those are some very... If he pulls another one of those off tonight, that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, prior to tonight, he's been more of a bowling all-rounder in the tournament so far. But he's, he's been very good with the ball. I wonder, do you think now this is going to translate to the Proteas?
I think so. I think it would be silly of them not to. If you look at if Markram comes back into the test squad, which I'm sure he will, you look at our test squad, and our only real spinner is Kesh, with Shamsi not playing red ball cricket. You've got Kesh and nobody else really. So if you've got Markram there, you can utilize him in more than one way.
And I think it also validates his place in the side a bit more, doesn't it?
100%, because even if he's not doing what everybody expects him to do with the bat, but if he's there then in the field, picking up 2, 3, 4 sticks a game, as you said, it validates why he should be there. And so I think, and with the stats that he's had bowling this tournament, you said 11 games, 10 wickets, it's hard to overlook him as an extra spinner for our test squad.
Yeah, and I mean, as we know as well, I suppose we're in a precarious position as the Proteas Red Bull squad, where we're always looking at trying to fix this awful gaping hole that is our batting at the moment.
Yeah.
In Test cricket. So people have been calling for the extra bowler, or calling for the extra batter, should I say? But I mean, again, it's a tricky one because you don't really take Kesh out, do you?
No. I mean, you can't, because if you take Kesh out and you leave Markram in, then Markram becomes your spinner.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
And I have full respect for Markram and his bowling stats in this. He's a good bowler, great part-time bowler. But I don't think you can rely on him as your frontline attacking spinner. And if you do that, I think you then create a different hole and a different problem for our Test squad.
Yeah, no, sure. But I mean, so do you see? I mean, look, okay. I suppose in order for this to kind of make sense, you have to say, do you on an average day without him bowling, do you leave him out of the Test squad? You personally, as in Ross, do you decide to leave him out? You do without him bowling.
Yeah.
Okay.
If he's not bowling, I would. I think there's other guys around him. There's younger guys that are looking really good on the domestic front. But it's also a tough decision because Markram is not a bad Red Bull player at all. He's just it's the consistency and the inconsistency in Markram's case. He's just too inconsistent. And that provides a big issue, especially in your top order in a Test game. You need guys in your top 3 or 4 that you can rely on to go out there and score 50, 60, 70, 100 runs. And I mean, let's say you're not asking Markram to score 150, but you need him to go out and score 70, 80 odd almost every time he walks to the crease in a Test match, which he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. Okay, so then let me ask you this now from the other angle. White ball cricket. Now, say we're looking at ODIs, right? Obviously, you're not going to leave Aiden Markram out of your white ball side just purely because of his prowess with the bat.
Yeah.
But do you then maybe leave out Kesh, or if you've already got a Shamsi?
I think so. I think in terms of white ball cricket, if you've got a Shamsi playing, you can leave Kesh out.
Okay, and then what? You're using Markram as essentially your second spinner.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think that's the way I would do it as well. I think he's good enough to work as a second line spinner when we've got such a wonderful pace attack. I think. Yeah.
And also, I think in terms of that, I mean, he can be second fiddle to Shamsi, and as you said, with our pace lineup, and also Markram, I think he's an effective spinner. But he does a lot more with a bat than Kesh does.
Yeah,
and so for that, he can definitely, I think, play second fiddle to Shamsi and work as our
spinner. I suppose it's a good problem to have in a sense. By the way, as we see another spinner in Roelof van der Merwe, who bowls a dramatic wide, but nonetheless it will still be a wide. By the way, let's have a look here. After 10.4 overs, Joburg Super Kings 77 for 3. Well, Sunrise is 74 for 2. So they are slightly ahead. But, I mean...
In terms of the wickets, you could probably call them level, maybe, yeah. I would say about level pegging.
But now that means we're expecting the Sunrisers to bowl a bunch of dross, at least for the next couple of overs or something.
Yeah, you need 2 of your strike bowlers to go for 100 runs in the next couple of overs, kind of.
Well, let's see the last ball of the over now. This has, by the way, been a very, very good little tidy spell from Roelof van der Merwe. I mean, what is that? So they're just going to go there. Is that for the single? Yep, single, 6 runs off that, which means Roelof van der Merwe, halfway through his bowling spell, he's gone for 8 runs. And he's taken a very valuable wicket.
And you know what? And it's an all credit to Roelof. I mean, he's also up there. I think he's the 3rd highest wicket taker. Excuse me, in this tournament.
Is he?
So doing the job for SEC.
Yeah, let me have a look actually quickly and see now in terms of wickets so far this tournament. I mean, I know he's got a very... Yeah, you're right. 3rd. So he's taken 15 wickets. Okay, that's excluding, of course, this current match, eh?
Yeah, that's what I said. 16 now.
16 wickets now. A best of 6 for 20. How's his average? He's got a bowling average of 9.6 and an economy rate of 5.2.
That's
really
impressive as a spinner in T20 cricket.
Hey, he's very much. I was saying it to Steve Cook a little bit earlier on. He's snuck under the radar a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he's come in as like a dark horse. You would never. I mean, yeah. I mean, you look at Rulo van der Merwe and you're like, oh, he's not a bad player.
That's a lovely shot.
But and he's come in and he's torn teams apart. I mean, that 6 for 20 is, those stats are unbelievable.
Yeah, that's match-winning stuff. As we see, by the way, Reeza moves to 49 now with a very nice get down
Beautiful
onto one
shot.
knee, just send it backwards a square and safely through the boundary. No
Now-
risk in that.
I've got a question for you. I mean, we've watched Reeza come in with Faf as the opening batsman the entire tournament. And his strike rate has been below par. His runs have been below par. And tonight we saw a change in tactics and he came in at 3. And he's now on 50 of what must be about 30-odd balls.
Yeah, I think it was 33 or something like that. Yeah,
Do you,
33.
do you think coming in as the third batsman and not as an opener has taken a little bit of pressure off Reeza, which has allowed him to bat differently to the way he has the whole tournament? And do you think they should have made the call earlier?
No, I don't think so. I think you look at what he came in today with.
Shot.
Oh, there we go. What a lovely shot
Great
inside
shot.
out there. Just bashes that through the covers for another boundary. No, I don't think it has taken any pressure off him, to be honest with you, because, I mean, look at how he came in today. He came in today with, well, exactly 0 runs on the board. The innings was 1 ball old. So, you know, there's no, in fact, there's even more pressure.
Yeah.
You know, that he came in under today. So I don't think that would have changed too much for him. You know, I think Reeza's a very good player, and if you know, if he gets the ball rolling, you know, he can be a bit of an accumulator. As we saw, I think it were you and I commentating on a match the other day where he was just taking forever to do anything, and then suddenly he exploded. And he more than made up for that very dreary run rate that he had at the time.
I think that might have been the game where Faf scored that 100, where Reeza eventually got to 51 or 52.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So look, I don't think so. Again, it was
Shot.
Has it gone? Yes, that
Great
has
shot.
certainly gone all the way. We just clubbed that
Catching
one.
an
Didn't we?
opportunity there in the crowd for a couple of $100,000.
Well, there we go. That brings up another 6. So that's kind of ruined Rulo van der Merwe's outstanding figures so far. It was a lovely shot, wasn't it? Just down
Great
one
shot.
knee.
To the pitch of the ball and told him to go and fetch.
Looking at that again. Oh, straight out the meat, head down.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Very nice cricket shot. And you've got to think now, Reeza looks like he's starting to set, and it's very similar to the innings Markram played. He came in, took a little bit of time, knocked it around, got himself in, and then went.
Yeah.
And it would, I hope for the fans and for us that Reeza can stick around and get going even a little bit faster to make the semi-final very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, as things stand, you've overstayed your welcome.
Overstayed our welcome.
Yeah, just a tad. Which means that I am out, and I believe it is the two of you, you and Steve, of course, who are going to continue on with the next 4 overs. So I will see you in a little bit, hopefully with JSK still 3 wickets down. But for now, for at least from my side, goodbye.
Right, I'm back here for our sports cricket coverage of the second semi-final. And although Joburg Super Kings have got wickets in hand. This is where Sunrisers Eastern Cape really did start motoring along, and the bowling really began to fall apart. At the beginning of that over, Super Kings needed 126 runs off 48 deliveries. It's a lot. I thought this was going to go one of two ways. It would either be over very quickly, or the Super Kings would take it close. So if the Super Kings are going to take it close, how is it going to happen, Ross?
I think if the Super Kings are going to take it close, as you said, there either needs to be some terrible bowling that's about to commence, or I think Reza and Wade need to have a chat in the middle and look at each other and say, listen, we've got a lot of work to do. We don't have many balls left. This is going one of two ways. We're either getting to the final or we're not. And so at this point, we have to go.
Well, 116 or 42. Here is a wide delivery. That's a free run for Joburg Super Kings. I'll take it, and an extra delivery. Did Matthew Wade put the bowler off there? He turned. I think so. It turned it into. He was going to go the. Yeah, that was very strange. It looked like he was shaping to sort of go the other way and hit an unconventional shot.
Definitely, and I definitely think that would have slightly put. Oh, it's gone up. Has it gone all the way? I don't think so. Is there a man there? Yeah.
Matthew Wade, after Byron Carter has picked up a wicket now. Look, we needed one of these batters to go big.
Yeah.
Wade has tried to do that, but unfortunately, due to where they are in the game, it's difficult to see the Super Kings, winning this game. They have to go big or go home, because it's not going to help if they end the match 7 down. They need to basically throw caution to the wind here.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
I agree, and I mean it really doesn't help if they get to bat through the full 20 overs, but at the end of the 20 overs they're 160.
Yeah, it's a knockout game, so
yeah, you may as well say we've got nothing to lose. We're either in the final or we're not. So if we get bowled out, we get bowled out, but at least we go out trying, because you can't just knock it around the park now for the next 7 overs, because that's definitely not going to get you to the final.
Yeah, I saw some shots of Du Plessis in the box in the players' box there, and it looks like he's already preparing his good luck to the Super Kings.
Yeah.
In the final speech, he doesn't look happy at all.
No. And how do you think he's feeling after being in such good nick this entire tournament and in such a big game coming short? And I think, that's now back-to-back ducks. He scored the 92 or 98, was it?
That's
and then
right.
a duck in the last game, and now a duck in this game. How do you think personally he's feeling about his performance in the last 2 games?
Well, clearly they haven't been. Look, any player can score a duck, but having looked at the way he went out today, it was the first ball of the innings, and he chose to try and hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
In hindsight, I think it's probably fair to say if he could play that, if he got to play that, relive that again, he wouldn't have played that shot. Yeah. So, it would have made a statement. There's no doubt about it. If he'd managed to get that ball out of the park, it's. But I mean, the margins are very, very small. I think it was a poor shot first up.
Yeah, it's one of those things where he's got nobody to blame but himself. It wasn't a bad ball. He decided to take that shot on, and he's ended up getting himself out. And it's, as you said, first ball of the innings, there's no need to take on such risk.
What it means now is that the people coming in now have to take risks.
Yeah.
And here we see a very good shot from Ferreira. He has, come into the tournament with, I suppose, something to prove. I think any of the players who's been selected for the SA20 and has been overlooked for, in other T20 leagues and is something of an unknown will feel that they have a great opportunity to, to score some big bucks.
100%. And also not even just score big bucks, to try and get their name in the hat for national selection.
I would argue with the way things are going. I mean, yes, playing for your country should be the highest honor.
Yeah.
But 7 or 8 years playing in a couple of franchise T20 tournaments around the globe, how does that sound in terms of
cash is king?
Cash is king. 108 off 37 is what the Super Kings need now. And here we've seen
Great shot.
Reza here, that was a low risk shot, and we spoke about the fact that he was looking and is more of a leg side player. He was looking very vulnerable outside his off stump. Here he has, again, not a great deal of foot movement, but the ball has stood up for him, and he's managed to punch it confidently. He's gone airborne. It's a safe shot in that part of the ground. He's cleared the fielders who were close to the bat, and it's gone away for 4 runs. He's going to have to, they need to find at least 2 boundaries every over if they're going to make this run close. 104 of 36 runs.
That equation just doesn't look right. I mean, it's monumental.
7 no balls, I think the Super Kings bowled. This is where things really fell apart from the bowling point of view. So,
I mean, let's see here. I want to see. So it was 7 no balls.
7 no balls, and remember
7 no ball, 5 no balls, 7 wides, and those giving away a total of 15 extras.
Yes, but those extras only tell one story, because remember some of those above waist high full tosses went all the way to the boundary. So they were free. They were essentially free hits in their own right. So I mean, I think we can put that. I think Matt said it around about 40 runs.
Definitely.
There's 40 runs there that the Super Kings shouldn't have needed to get.
Yeah, no, I fully agree with you. And I mean, it gave Sunrisers so many extra balls in the innings. I mean, normally a T20 is 120 balls. They got a lot more than that.
No, indeed. Apart from the 5 no balls, and they also had 7 wides. That's 12 extra deliveries they had to bowl, 12 runs that they gave away, and then of course the
6s and 4s on top of the no balls.
And of course the extra runs which go with those deliveries. So it was a mess.
So at the end of the day, I think JSK definitely have to look back, because you're going to look at this JSK total at the end of this and say, but it wasn't a good chase. But in any other match where they're chasing 180 or 170, they're not doing a terrible job of it.
No.
So you've got to look and say, the bowlers are at fault here tonight. The bowlers are what took the game away from JSK.
What so far the Sunrisers Eastern Cape, their bowlers haven't bowled a single no ball.
And that could be the game changer.
Matthew Wade, I think probably needed to be there for a little bit longer if Super Kings were going to do this. Reza Hendricks has batted really, really well. But at this stage, with 66 off 39, it's really up to him to start going big, I would suggest.
He needs to do and I mean, we heard that stat from, I think it was Matt or you earlier, that Markram's second 50 came in 17 balls. JSK needs something of that, whether Reza does it or Donovan Ferreira does it, but somebody needs to accelerate and rapidly if they want a chance.
As good a player as Reza Hendricks is, I don't think he, quite has that kind of power and skill set to do that. But I wouldn't mind being,
wrong.
I wouldn't mind being wrong on that front. Being a Joburger.
And I think so. And you said you don't think Reza has the power in that, and I agree. I tend to agree with you there. But I think Ferreira does have the power, but whether he's got the ability now is a different question. Reza's I think is a great batter. He just doesn't have the power to do that and score so quickly. But Ferreira, on the other hand, has the power to clear guys out of there. But does he have the ability to do that?
Well,
time will tell.
Well, it's not a lot of time and it's not a lot of deliveries. That's all I will say at this stage. Having said that, Ferreira is scoring at a rate of 200.
There he goes again, and it's all the way. Ferreira's come to town. Well, listen, we looked at this, and it was 118, or I think it was, 36 balls. Was it? Yeah, there was.
We had 116 off 42, 113 off 39, 104 off 36. Donan Ferreira here is
20 runs off that over from Marco Jansen, and that's a big over.
That is a big over.
In terms of JSK in the game, because it's the momentum that they need. They needed an over like that, a little bit of a release, because up until now, Sunrisers bowlers have done a really good job of containing the JSK batsmen.
Although that went for 20 runs.
The
task is still big, and although Jansen went for a lot of runs, he didn't, he didn't give an extra delivery in that over.
Yeah.
Those extra deliveries really did cost Joburg Super Kings and the no balls in particular. And so far, Jansen hasn't bowled a no ball in that over, so there are no freebies as yet.
Yeah, I would really like. So it was 5 no balls. We know one went for 6, so that's 7 runs.
Yeah,
one went for 4, so that's 5, so that's 12 already.
And a couple of those. Are you talking about the free hits now or the actual no balls?
No, the actual no balls.
The actual no balls. I remember 1 6 and 1 4, and then one. I remember 3. one of the free hits going for 6 as well, and one I think went for 2. It fell into the.
Yeah, it was 2 or 3 there.
Yeah. So I mean, as I say, I think Matt's assessment of about 40 runs those cost.
And I mean, just off the actual deliveries themselves, the ones that were, there we go.
Donan Ferreira has, and Ruda van der Merwe celebrates as only he can. He must have very strong muscles in his eye because
those things look like they're going to come flying out.
They look as if they're going to come flying out. Yeah.
It might be a little bit early to say it, but I think that's all she wrote for JSK, I'm afraid.
Well, I think we called it quite early. I called it quite early on. But I mean, again, Donan Ferreira here has played
a good knock.
What were they batting first? And this was the last few overs. Great luck. 20 runs off 9 deliveries.
And they needed somebody to come in and do that, take the attack to Sunrisers, and he did. It's unfortunate that he's gone now, because I think if he had been able to keep going at that rate for another over or so, another 2 overs, it could have been a very different game. But now you're sitting there, Sibs Makanya walks in, you've got Reza on the other side.
I think at this stage we have to start, basically assessing Joburg Super Kings and where they went wrong.
Yeah. I'm not sure that'll be a very long assessment.
Okay, we know they bowled badly, but in terms of the team selection, would it have possibly been different if Kyle Simmons had been chosen for?
I think so. I think Kyle Simmons had a big role to play in this game, and he wasn't given the opportunity to play that role. And I think it's a silly team selection, silly team choice to leave him out.
Yeah. So Sibs Makanya comes to the crease now, and nobody really wants to, I guess, to bat in these circumstances. Yes, you might dream as a boy of coming in at this stage and winning the match for your team. Yeah. But realistically speaking, we know we're just putting the finishing touches on the Joburg Super Kings tournament, essentially.
Yeah, I know. And as you said, like every little boy's dream is to walk out there and hit a 6 and a couple of 4s and score a couple of runs, and when you get your team across the line to reach that final. But yeah, it's not going to happen tonight, unfortunately. It's the end of JSK's run for this year. And I think they will be bitterly disappointed in terms of it, because coming off 5 wins in a row, playing really nicely, bowlers bowling really nicely, to this is disappointing. Shepherd at the crease.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean it's death or glory here, and he's going to have to go from the word go. Having said that, he's got bat on ball for the first delivery, and he's given the strike to Reza Hendricks, which makes absolute sense. Rula van der Merwe now has, I think, 3 deliveries left in his spell here, and he's been a revelation in this tournament. He played that ridiculously match-winning performance with the 6 wickets earlier in the match, and he plays the game with such relish. He's entertaining to watch. Yeah. And just as that happens, we see a mess field by Sunrisers Eastern Cape, but it doesn't cost them. JSK needing 81 deliveries from 26, 133 for 5. They are in the 16th over.
Yeah. No, and as you said, Rudo is a lot of fun to watch. He bowls with such passion, and his celebrations, just the way he is on the pitch is it's cool to see.
Romario Shepherd has hit a very good shot there, but he hasn't got the reward for it. He hit it very hard along the ground, but it was
fielding.
Yeah, excellent piece of fielding, getting his body behind the line. Did his foot touch there? I don't think it did.
If it did, that's an incredible piece of fielding if he's managed to keep that back foot off the rope there.
They are checking it. You certainly the advertising boundary doesn't appear to have moved, but his foot came really close as he slid in for that one.
It's a really good piece of fielding to keep it out there.
Yeah, so he kept it down there. Van der Merwe's final delivery here. Hendricks needs to make the most of this one.
Yeah, nicely played, but it gets stopped out there.
It'll be a single there. 79 off 24. And Rula van der Merwe's played an excellent little role here for the Sunrisers Eastern Cape with that spell. Let's have a look at those bowling figures now. Rula van der Merwe has now bowled those 4 overs, and he's taken 2 for 23. In the context of the game, 5.75 runs an over. That's an excellent return from Rula van der Merwe.
That's really impressive stuff by him.
Okay, who do the Sunrisers Eastern Cape go to now? We've got 4 overs left and 79 runs to get. It's fairly simple, nearly 80 runs off 4 overs, so just under 20 runs an over needed from here, which it certainly can be done, but you'd want to have more wickets in hand and more powerful batting available when a wicket falls.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because great shot by Reza, just squeaked under the fielder there.
It's really interesting. Reza Hendricks, maybe Hendricks is the one to bring it home for the Joburg Super Kings.
It would be one hell of a story. I mean, a tournament of average batting and what people were expecting, I think, a lot more from him. If he went on to score 120 odd and bring it over the line for them in a very unlikely situation, he would very much be the hero on Saturday.
He's played a very good cover drive there. It was pitched up outside off. He's taken a big stride in and stroked it very confidently into the covers. So 4 off the first delivery, another boundary here, and the pressure's right back on Sisanda Magala and the Super Kings. As we say, that Hendricks turns that into the leg side. It's a bit straight by Magala, but he doesn't get punished for it. Hendricks turns it into the leg side. which brings Shepherd onto strike. And Shepherd, what does he do here? He has to try and hit the next ball, at least 2 of the remaining deliveries to the boundary.
To the fence, yeah. And I think with that, that's 16th, and so we're going to have a little bit of a swap here. We're going to go to Steve live at the ground.
Romario Shepherd does hit a long ball.
Welcome back. Just under 4 overs remain in this match, which at one point looked like it was going to be a nail-biter, but perhaps not much, or at least not so much now, needing 73 of 21 do Joburg's Super Kings. Joining us is a man who is sitting there watching it with his own 2 very eyes, watching his team being dismantled. I say that, of course, as it looks like a fantastic shot from Reza Hendricks. Steve Pettit, welcome back. How are things going there at the ground?
Not very well for those teams in the to be honest. I think frustrating. I think that the score could have been chased down, to be honest. I think that they kind of had themselves a bit of a hole. Reza Hendricks has gone along pretty nicely, but needed support and needed to be aggressive. I think that sort of he lost to sort of overs 8 to 12, bringing up the 130 over wasn't good enough. That's 1 mile, I will tell you that much. Goodness, hey, Mario Shepherd.
Let's have a look.
That's me, all good. All good.
My goodness, you are right, yeah. We're obviously just a few seconds behind you here on the stream. Yes, it does look like it's gone a comfortable distance. 362 sixes so far in the tournament. And as you say, they're going to need to bring that number quite significantly if they are intending to get through to the final. So you say they battered themselves into a hole. It's very hard to put any blame on the batters that didn't score. But Faf du Plessis, do you think had he, even if he'd chipped in with 30 or so, do you think that would have changed the game at all?
Yeah, I think they found this after he's going out. I want it's a good plan, frustrating. I think Matthew Wayne really something up there. It was really special contribution for him. Lose the boys are fantastic because they're in part one, so it's going down. We lost the 2 more passes. It's difficult to criticize. Usually they're last year, 155, but he's only basically just lose. And they didn't come in at 4, much of those like 4, and they didn't work. So I think they've got a lot of things right at the moment. That's not only got a lot of things right.
Yeah, I know. I mean, we're looking at the worm comparison here, and it's looking pretty even Stevens, but obviously there was that awful bowling at the deck that kind of that kind of cost it. Do you think there's any chance that?
I think the problem is that the also that experience. I think if you look at this online, how ball is that the ball. I think Magala still got an over. I think Magala still got an over. Look, again, it comes down. It comes to the man. As long as he is there, anything happens as early as possible. But he'd have to go pretty clearly for the ball to get over.
Yeah, now before I let you go, Steve, just a quick one. Quick weather update. Everything's still dry there?
No chance of rain, yeah. It's been a very nice year.
Okay, well, that's good. I suppose it is the last match that the Centurion crowd's going to get to watch, so at the very least, I guess you'd want them to be able to see out all 20 overs. As we're watching the highlights of that last 60 innings. And in fact, there's another one. Is that going to go? No, that's not going to go. Yeah. So as things stand, 58 or 57 or 16 from our side. Steve, we'll catch up with you at the end of the game. But for now, make sure you hit the last 16 balls, and hopefully you get to catch one from Hendricks.
Yeah, we'll see you guys when Dan's going to make a comeback. We'll move.
All right, Steve, we'll catch you in a little bit.
Yeah, so
Kirke, you are back with us. Glad to have you with us for these closing stages of the match, and let's be honest, it is the closing stages.
Yes, it hasn't really turned out how I expected. I expected the Super Kings to either get there in spectacular fashion or implode, and they've done neither. It's give the crowd something to I guess shout about, but it kind of just feels a bit of an anticlimactic. Again, oh wow!
Goodness me!
There was an attempted catch in the pool.
In the swimming
and
pool,
now
he missed it.
Well, yes, but I mean, he doesn't look the most lithe and athletic. Or did he catch it?
Lithe is not a term I would use to describe that gentleman.
He
doesn't remind me of a gazelle.
No, he doesn't, unless the gazelle's been sitting on the couch for too long.
Yeah, I was going to say, the gazelle has perhaps eaten another gazelle, yeah. There we go. Oh, bit of a slip. He gave it his all shame, nearly wet the girlfriend's cell phone there, but, bless him. At least they're having fun, and I suppose that's the main thing at the end of the day here, really, isn't it?
Well, I think so, and I think that's one thing the tournament organisers, he's going to make it onto Fails of the Week for that effort. His friends appreciate it.
Yeah.
50 off 14 deliveries. While that was happening, I mean, that 6 was what the Super Kings needed. And I dare say they can't bowl with that ball anymore.
No, it looks like Maria Rasmus is strolling out here with a brand new ball going, well, the last time went for a proper dip.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then when you dip your ball, you really don't want anyone to touch it.
No, generally speaking, I mean, I know I personally don't really like it when if I've dipped my ball and someone else comes along. Yes,
why even are you? Why even are you? Well, it's reached a silly stage, so...
Right, so 2 overs and 2 balls to go, 50 runs. Reza hopefully gets to his 100 as we see another one.
And he's gone for a 6, another one. He's put that out into the pool.
Good God!
And this gazelle, not gazelle, is happy to do it again. So I guess we'll need another delivery. This time it's Rita Hendricks.
Not another one.
Yeah, we're going to need another. Yeah, that's 2. Both balls have been in now.
Good God.
Sorry.
Come on, Reza. You're costing cricket South Africa money here.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the getting more airtime. This is pretty amusing. I mean, exactly the same shot, exactly the same result, and that woman is never going to go and sit in that spot again.
No. She's saying to her husband, "We're going to go watch Mamelodi Sundowns on the weekend instead. Enough of this nonsense."
Yes, indeed. Yeah, no, exactly.
Shame, my man had 2 opportunities and failed at both. Yeah, don't worry, the brandy's flowing.
And he's gone again. Hendricks is.
Oh no, he hasn't. That's a replay.
We're looking at replays here.
Oh goodness me.
Here we are live again.
Oh, swing and a miss. To the 17th over. Disappointing from Reza Hendricks to not have clubbed another boundary into the swimming pool. But there we are. Into the 17th over. Then what was that I saw there?
44 off 12. Now, the last couple of overs, if they have, I mean, let's say they manage to go get 24 runs in the next over, then
it's doable.
We have a game. We have a game on our hands, and Romario Shepherd's on strike. I wouldn't really want to be the bowler to come in now. Who are the Sunrisers Eastern Cape going to go for?
Yeah, I must be honest, I haven't even had a proper look at that bowling lineup in terms of who's done what so far today. I mean, look, nobody's been, besides Roelof van der Merwe, who's already been bowled out, nobody's done particularly well. I mean, Sisanda Magala's gone for over 9, Marco Janssen's gone for 12.
Aiden Markham, the skipper.
We're going to have to bring him in, yeah. I think that's probably the only shout, isn't it?
You know
and
what?
It's a 6, It's Sisanda Magala who's come in. Romario Shepherd said, "Thank you very much, my son."
And there we go. That's 6 of the 24 required so far. So that's 18 we need off 5 deliveries. And Romario Shepherd looks as if he's about as stretched as walking down to the cafe for a packet of chips.
Mind you, there's something to be said about West Indian middle order batters. They just have that ability to just look as casual as can be. Well, they use, I mean, certainly in Romario Shepherd's case, those almighty biceps to just club that thing down the road, no problem. Let's see what happens now. 38's off 11.
Maybe I'd like to see what Faf du Plessis' face is like now.
Ooh, excellent.
Oh, that's an excellent delivery from Magala. Excellent follow-up. He's yorked him.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Haven't seen many successful Yorkers in this game at all. In fact, that's probably the first one.
In fact, I think you're right. Yeah, I can't remember one. Certainly not from the JSK innings with the ball.
Well, they were battling to get the ball on the blooming pitch.
Yeah, or at least below shoulder height.
Yes.
Yeah. Look, 38 off 10. I mean, Steve, we really are hoping for hope against hope here. But let's see.
And still no balls yet from.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the big difference.
It is.
You said about 40 runs. This is where they are. If Joburg Super Kings hadn't bowled so wastefully, they would have won the game at where they are now.
No, entirely, yeah. I mean, it's actually been quite strange because it's been an innings where they haven't had Faf du Plessis to rely on, where so many of their recent outstanding run chases or whatever the case might have been has always been down to Faf du Plessis. So it's at the end of the day, you got to say, can you really fault the batting lineup? You can't, I don't think.
No, this has been a pretty good run chase, actually. I've been put to rights because the Super Kings have taken this fairly close. A wicket here will, probably do away with that. As we say that Magala bowls a good delivery, all Risa Hendricks can do is put bat on ball. He has managed to take the single. What that has done is brought Romario Shepherd back on strike. This really, Shepherd needs to clear the boundary with one of these two deliveries to give the Super Kings any chance. But he'll be looking to score at least 2 boundaries and preferably put those over the rope, which would leave them, I think, leading 36-12, 24 off that last over.
Yeah, 24 for last. I mean, look, it's always it's a tricky shout, but
36 off 8.
Yeah.
Well, a no ball, but it hasn't happened so far. Oh, there we go. That's a poor delivery. That's one of them.
That is the 6, yeah.
How high was that?
I don't know.
How high was that?
Romario Shepherd's 19.5 feet tall, so...
Yeah, so it needs to be fairly... I don't think it was above... it's close, but it wasn't below waist.
I mean, that would have gone on to hit the stumps, I suspect.
Yeah. No, that's... Yeah, so I don't think there's anything. But that was I think, the closest we've seen to a no ball in this inning so far. So that just shows you how well Sunrise Eastern Cape have bowled in comparison to the Super Kings. And that is the game. 30 runs from 7 deliveries.
Yeah, I mean, it has. It's been a neat bowling performance, which sounds quite strange to say when you consider some of the bowlers have gone, at 12 runs and over. But by and large, it hasn't... I think a lot of that has been more down to good batting than it has been down to bad bowling.
No, I would suggest is that the bowling has been what you'd expect. The Joburg Super Kings bowling was particularly bad.
Yeah.
Here, Romario Shepherd has given his side a chance. 26 runs off 6 deliveries, but we have still yet to see a no ball. A no ball would change the complexion of this game. Imagine if you do get a no ball and it goes for a boundary. Suddenly the equation changes because you have an extra delivery and you've got 4 or 6 runs fewer that you need to get.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, one no ball now. Say this next delivery now is a no ball. Suddenly you need 19 off 6. Assuming if you hit it.
I'm guessing Marco Jansen. Marco Jansen is probably going to bowl the last over, but he's been the most expensive so far. So maybe the skipper needs to chance his armour for this final over.
Look, that's what I was thinking personally. That's what I was thinking personally. I thought 26 off the over. The odds of those all getting cleared. We've seen Aiden Markram bowling some wonderful deliveries. He's got a little bit of turn. He's got a little bit of bounce. But no, it will not be. Instead, it's going to be Otniel Bartman.
This is.
I mean, look, he's
Yeah.
he's gone for 9 and over. He's been in fact, he's been. If I have a look here, outside of Aiden Markram, he's been the best. He's been the best
Yes.
bowler of the proper bowlers.
Most economical. I mean, and he's an experienced character. And maybe Michael Jansen isn't.
Well, there we go. We see they run through after a swing and a miss. 25 or 5.
Yeah, I mean, we need sixes now.
Oh yeah, no, it's 6s or nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, 5-4 is 20. So.
Yeah, no, it's not there. I mean, that would have gone. That would have gone had he connected to that, but.
Yeah, but in many ways, it's probably the best result to Reza Hendricks not getting his bat on the ball, because if there is anyone who can clear the ropes a couple of times between these two batters, it is the man who has the strike now, Mario Shepherd, and he's gonna shoot for the top here. Does Othniel Bartman aim for the Yorker length here? Oh, and that's a no ball. That's a no ball.
Absolutely.
It's gone very high. I think it's going to come down in the field, but it's going to be a no ball, and they've taken 2. So maybe that is what the Super Kings needed. That is a no ball, I'm sure. So now it's 23 runs off 4. It should have been a no ball. They haven't called it a no ball as yet.
They haven't as of yet.
I mean, yes, Shepherd is a tall man.
Surely, I mean,
it's dipping on him as he gets there. Maybe not. I did think it was a no ball.
To be honest, I did think so myself.
But I actually no, I mean, it's about waist height where he hits it, and it was going to dip. So.
Well, there we are. They've called it okay.
Okay, the game is up now.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so 22 runs needed off 3 deliveries, and the Sunrisers Eastern Cape are through to that final. We've had a pretty entertaining game. I will give it to Joburg Super King. Their batters did get them fairly close, but they could have dealt with more urgency. Clearly, in terms of the batting, Reza Hendricks has played very well, but I guess questions will be asked about his role in terms of, clearing the boundary, finding more. Even though he has played well, should he have played, a more positive role? Here, he's gone for a big shot. It's all in vain, and that's the end of it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Reza Hendricks, 96 is what he departs for. Look, a well-played 54, a very good innings, it must be said.
And look how excellently Shepherd has played, but unfortunately he wasn't given the platform. He's 32 not out of 13. He's going to get to face the last 2 deliveries, I think, and all he's got to do is, declare the innings. So listen, chaps, let's go for a beer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I mean, it's unfortunate. It's been a great knock, as you say, from Mario Shepherd. Donovan Fred, even his 20 off 9, gave them that little bit of hope. Matthew Wade kind of struggled to get going a bit with his 19 off 18. Reza Hendricks, a man of the moment for them, 96 off 54. The crowd there, rather, applauding him off, so is his captain. You can't lay any blame at the feet of the JSK batters tonight, I don't think. Even though, yes, fine, Faf du Plessis went for a duck and Lewis du Plooy also. But, they have carried their side throughout the majority of this tournament. To me, there is no blame, really, to be laying at their feet.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a game of cricket, and they have come close here. It didn't work out for them tonight, and the bowlers let them down. Faf du Plessis, perhaps his shot selection for the first delivery of the innings was wrong. So you might want to argue that, and he was back-to-back duck. So when it came to the big game, he didn't, you need your big players to step up. What has happened in the 2 semi-finals, big players have stepped up. Aiden Markram has really stepped up for his team here. He scored that 100, and Romario Shepherd. Well, he can leave this match, saying he played his role with the bat, but the Sunrisers have won by 14 runs. So I got my prediction completely wrong. I said Joburg Super Kings were either going to fold or make a miserable effort of it. But in the end, they've actually made a good fist of this one. So a good, but not good enough. But 14 runs, the 40 runs in no balls,
I mean,
that's where the match surely must. We have to, say that's where the match was won and lost.
100%. Yeah. I mean, we said it earlier on, didn't we? A match losing bowling, well, kind of stint there towards the end from a couple of the bowlers from JSK. But nonetheless, as we say, this is a game of cricket. Anything can happen. They did take it deep. It was a spirited fight back from Joburg Super Kings. But nonetheless, too little, too late, and just not enough in the end. So, Steve, I'm going to leave you there while I jump on with the other Steve. Thank you very much for joining us. It was nonetheless an entertaining game. I think you can agree.
Yeah, no. I don't know if I'm still here. Sorry. I will say it was an entertaining game. I enjoyed it. And I will say I think Pretoria Capitals really are in the pound seats here to win that final. But having said that, Sunrisers Eastern Cape, they've risen to the occasion where they needed to.
Yeah, no, they have. So there we have it. We have the Pretoria Capitals and the Sunrisers Eastern Cape will be taking part in the final. Not so. What an entertaining semi-final it has been, but nonetheless, there we have it. Sunrisers Eastern Cape going on to win by 14 runs at the end of the day. Steve, thank you very much. I shall let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening. But for now, let's jump on with Steve. Have a good evening. Well, Mr. Pettit, your side are out.
Yeah, I mean, a great effort. Let's start from us. Yeah, I mean, that is an absolute world class knock from both me and Mario Shepherd. And I think at the end of the day, we're going back. We're going to be looking at the fact that Dale could see over 2 wickets and a half over. You look back at that, and in innings going at the front, probably a bit unfortunately. An extra 6 balls, which is I think how many dots he had. And I think they actually win that, to be honest. Looking at it now, it's an extra over and they would have gone around. The way the leader ended and the Irish had seen that ball towards the end was absolutely amazing, but just far too much in the end to do.
Yeah, no, it was just that one bridge too far, as you say. I mean, you can't blame any of the batters from Joburg Super Kings. I mean, that's, you could say, well, yes, Faf went out for a duck and so did Lewis du Toit, but I mean, they've more than pulled their weight over the course of this tournament. It wasn't a batting letdown; it was a bowling letdown. Absolutely, I think you'd agree. But nonetheless, we look at it now and we say, all right, one more match to go. But on the balance of what you've seen tonight, what do you make of the final this weekend?
I think that I don't think you can look into. It's just, I don't want to say we can't performances here, but this is such a good batting wicket that you look at that Aiden Martin, you look at that Jordan Herman 50, you look at Hendrick almost going 100. It's been a batting paradise. One hasn't necessarily always been a batting paradise, and I think a lot of the rain schedule over the next couple of days. I do think the Pretoria Capitals are the team to beat and remain the team to beat. But yeah, look, for Sunrisers Eastern Cape, they got a lot of fight in it. I think that's one thing. We've seen them claw their way back time and time again. I mean, we've seen some amazing matching performances from them over the tournament. We saw that look on the sixth. We saw that innings from Marco Janssen. Today, Eden Martin, look on the what to do today, really, picking up. They've got match winners. There's no doubt about it. So, Dark Horse is going into the final. I think they'll love that. I think they'll love it. I really do. I think that I think JSK, for example, is probably final we all want to see in terms of a matchup, not clear to that, they'll play against someone like the Ryder Show, for example. But I do think that Aidan Markham and his side are. I wouldn't rule them out there. I really wouldn't rule them out. I think it's pretty careful to do in terms of how they play throughout the tournament. But tonight, we saw someone who can play side with the batting and used to accelerate, the find wickets in the league. I was very impressed with our tournament tonight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, Steve, we are struggling to hear you very clearly, so we will leave it there for our coverage this evening, both from our studios here at River Sports, as well as from Centurion's Supersport Park. And as we see, that is it for the semi-finals. One match left of what has been a hugely entertaining SA20 tournament. Be sure to not miss out on that final match. We will, of course, be covering it live as it happens, both with our walkthrough and all of our graphics on screen to make sure that if you're not able to watch the match or be at the ground, we will have all of that and all the analysis that you could possibly want right here on Forever Sports. So from us,